Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We are here giving you guys a live around Put a Ring on It. Yes, season 2 is out, and we're giving you guys a lovely video on this. So we're gonna have the super panelists. We're gonna have, we're gonna have a whole team come out and discuss what we saw in episode 1. Let me tell you something. I'm really looking forward to the conversation today because I really believe the panelists have got prepared, come with their own notes, come with their words, come with their own ideas and what they've seen, and we're gonna have a really good conversation around it as well. So if you're new to this channel, this is where we discuss real good stuff around TV shows, but which originate around relationships. So we've decided to choose Put a Ring on It. Married at First Sight will be happening in July sometime as well. So look forward to those panels as well. But hey, guys, before we go anywhere, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads, and you already know what it is, baby. Stay hydrated. Why? Because the streets are definitely hot. Let me get my water. Listen, I lost my water bottle, guys. I lost it in the gym. So now you're gonna get this fake water, okay? All right, cool. So I want to start off quickly before I get the super panelists to come on. I really want to break some stuff down. So this whole episode 1 was crazy manic, but I think it's got some really good things that were happening. So I'll start first off with Jess and Eric. Okay, here's my thing. I see problems with both of them, but my first problem that I see with them is the very beginning of this relationship. It started off 6 feet underneath the ground, and it's never recovered. Okay, this relationship started 6 feet underneath the ground and has never recovered. If you start a relationship where there's madness, where you're stealing someone from someone else, you're cheating, or you're doing this, and you start a relationship like that, there are going to be some severe insecurities depending on who has done what in that particular relationship. Okay, we used to have a rule. Us boys, when I was younger, we used to have a rule: you never wife the girl you stole from another man. Right? Yeah, we used to do some stuff when we were younger, so please forgive us. When we were younger, we used to do 2 things. We used to say, you ask this girl a question. If she's in a relationship, you ask her one question: is she happy? Right? That was the only question we used to ask. It was a mad dark arts we used to do, right? Because you want to get into a conversation with that girl and try to make her see that she's not happy, right? And the second one was, you never wife the girl who you stole from another man. Why? Because the moment you stole her, she can be stolen from you. If she's got no loyalty to that guy, what makes you think that she's gonna have loyalty towards you? Right? It just doesn't work. So when you start a relationship on that foundation, you're starting 6 feet underneath the ground, and unless you got Jesus, you are not resurrecting. Okay, you are gonna stay 6 feet under. Okay, and that's where I feel like their problems are in the relationship. Number 2, it seems like Eric is really enjoying the fact he makes Jess jealous and almost insecure. I don't know, it felt like there's a little bit of this kind of enjoyment, especially when it's going to, obviously everybody enjoys when they go on their date. They like to push this kind of thing as well, right? They want to make their partner seem like, they want to make their partner a little bit jealous. Everybody likes a little bit of that feeling, right? To feel desired, okay? But there were some comments that he made specifically, which I felt like, like, brother, are you want to see her sweat? And I'm like, but why? It seems like this girl is down for you 150%. But you want to make her sweat even more. So the girl's already got insecurities, and you want to add to the insecurities. Does that make sense? I mean, do you really want the relationship to work, sir? Like, why would you want that? And then the other flip side of it is just, if you know you don't trust him, why are we wanting to try and stay in this mess? Sis, if you don't have the ability to trust him, why do you want to stay in this? If you think he's for the streets, why do you want to keep him? It doesn't make sense, sis. You're saying he wants to be like his boys, and you're holding him back from being like that, sis. Then you are the one that's holding him back. Let him go. Let him go and be for the streets, because it's hot out there. Let him go out there. Right? And you continue with your life, but you're trying to hold on to him. And I think that says a lot about her as well. And I think that there might be some deeper things that are going on that we may have to see in the next few weeks as we're watching the show, as to why she's really holding on to this relationship when she knows he's for the streets, apparently. That's her premise anyway. Cool. Then we had we had the middle couple, sorry, Darian and Alexis, the 14-year wait. I think our initial reactions, whenever you hear that large number, we saw something very similar with last year, Ashley and Hollywood. That initial reaction is that nobody wants to be hearing about a 14-year engagement. Okay, all right. And the reason why Darian is not entering this relationship simply is because he's fearful of what the ring will do to the relationship, and I think that is something that should be explored in the course of the show. And I hope they do that, where they tackle those issues of what marriage is. This is very similar to Michael as well from last season, where he felt a certain way about marriage. So I kind of hope that as they're going forward in the next few weeks, they tackle Darian's fear of being married and saying that the ring will change things. So there's a contradiction here, which is really interesting. He said the ring would make the relationship no longer fun. And then at the very end, he said the relationship isn't fun. Well, sir, which one is it? Is the relationship not fun? Or is it fun? Because you done already said the ring will change your relationship and make it no longer fun. But I think what he's talking about here is the fun for him, which is, and this is how I'm gonna put it out there. I'm not gonna say definitely this is what it is. I'm gonna put it out there, and this is not just men. This comes into women as well, but I'm specifically talking about men right now. Sometimes when these men are fearful of commitment, they need that back door. It's just a safety plan. It's just a safety net. It's just in case, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I gotta carry my burner just in case. Now I ain't ever gonna clock it back, but just in case, because I know where I came from, I need to make sure I carry the burner. You understand? And it's the same thing with a relationship. There's that back door for him a little bit, right? And I'm not saying that marriage necessarily solves that, but what I am saying is that the issue that he's having in terms of getting married is that he feels like when he first began, the relationship was fun and now it's no longer fun. But the reason why he's not getting married is because it's not going to be fun. And it's like, yo, bro, if you're already having fun, and you know what I mean, like what you're saying, it's not fun now. I was a little bit confused by that, but I think we're going to get a bit more clarification as the show goes on. I did not like the fact that he decided to share information about his date with Kai in the way that he did. I actually do understand what he was trying to say, but the way he delivered it was detrimental and destructive. If you are going to communicate how you feel about someone and that maybe potentially this could be implemented into your relationship, you do not say that to the person. You don't say people that have got breast and bum, usually got no brain, and the fact that, and because what he, at the very end, he actually explained it better. He said, listen, do you know what? Some of the things that we talked about in the way that we interacted, it reminded me of you. Now that is the communication we want. When you came to the house, you came with destructive bars, right? And I'm not saying that maybe he wanted to make her sweat a little bit, but bro, you went over. You know what I'm saying? Like you were going and then you went, phew, right? And that in itself is interesting. And my last point about Darian before I go on to Alexis is the fact that the question was asked him, how do you feel? Are you able to express your emotions? And his question and his answer back, and it may be editing, his answer back was, I kissed my girl in the first 10 minutes. Sir, kissing is not it's not a good example, or should I say, it's not a wholesome example of what if you're able to express your emotions. Just because I kiss you does not mean I can express my emotions to you. You understand? Yeah? Just because I kiss you doesn't mean I can express my emotions to you. I wonder if that's an issue with himself, Alexis. Here's my thing with Alexis. We didn't get to see much of her, so we couldn't even do too much. But Alexis, the moment he started talking, she already started accusing him. So do you like this girl? And I said, oh, sis. Oh, goddamn. Oh, sis, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I hear you. I know you're stressed. I know the situation a little bit peak, okay? But you went straight into, what, so you like this girl? And I was like, yay. Chill, Alexis, okay? I know you don't want to hear too tough about this situation, but don't rush into that. You know what I'm saying? Because now there is a case about the fact that if there is a conversation that needs to be had, which is very hard, about maybe some things we need to change in a relationship, you shutting down that conversation is going to be problematic for the long-term success of your relationship. Difficult conversations do need to be had, and if you're not willing to listen, that could be a problem too. But I didn't like Dorian's energy per se. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, 14 years is something. And the last couple I want to say before I get the super panel on this particular show, the last thing I want to say is, it is really interesting. It's really interesting with Sean and Laronda. Laronda. And this was my intuition feeling. The moment I heard her speak one word, I said, "That's Michael and Shay almost from last season, almost." Right? That she doesn't deal with emotions as much as he does. That kind of unequal weightedness when it comes to how you deal with emotions, right? But she has a problem, he has a problem. She feels he doesn't listen. He feels that she doesn't express her emotions or doesn't express her sentiments and feelings, right? And I think, do you know what? I have the most hope for them too. Okay, watching their body language, watching the way they interact, I have most hope for him. There is a little aspect of emasculation I'm kind of seeing too. Okay, sis, I need you. When you went to the door, you need to run to the door. And I know it probably won't seem like much, but the fact is she ran to the door with him, okay, and didn't allow him to answer the door. Okay, like, sis, I need you to park your bus back in the living room and let the brother address the situation, because what you're doing right now is emasculating him. And I know some people might not see it as that. They might see it as, no, she was just, no, she was. She needs to let him handle stuff. If you don't, he's going to feel emasculated in the long run. Okay, all right. So I saw that, but with him, it's the last bit I'm going to add is that last piece where he said the girl's too perfect for him. I think what's going to happen with Laronda and Sean is it's how emotions are going to play into the relationship. I don't know if you guys clocked. There was a cheeky little body language from Laronda when Dr. Nicole said feelings aren't facts. She pointed to her man twice. She was like, and I said, "Oh, baby." I said, "Oh, snap." So they're having, I think there's some disagreements in terms of the way that emotions and feelings are playing up in the relationship and how they're manifesting themselves and how they deal with them. That's why I said it's very similar to Michael and Shay, because that was the whole point of her missing certain cues when it comes to emotions and stuff like that. And I think if we go, as the show goes on, we might get to see why she is that way as well. And I think we'll also get to see why he's that way as well, because he seems like he's because of her. I don't even say because of her. With them two in the same shot, it looks like she's under emotional and it looks like he's over emotional. And that over emotional also too can be problematic. We've said it on the show too. Sometimes the women want to feel safe emotionally, and you expressing far too much emotion and not allowing her to also be able to express her emotions safely, because you're going to get into yours. Okay, all right. So there's also that aspect that plays into it. And I guess his final comment, which is my last thing before I bring up the super panel, is that is the fact that the perfect comment, right? The girl's too perfect. Yeah. It is really interesting because some interesting things happen at that point. Now, the girl was too perfect. Now, I kind of understood what he was saying. But I also understood Laronda's point, which is that if she's that perfect, why are you not pursuing it? So his point about being too perfect was that, you know what, this girl, and this is why I don't like the show. This is actually why I don't like the premise of the show. I think the premise of the show is madness. But this is why. You are going to meet somebody who does things seemingly that are going to be better than your current status partner right now. And they may seem perfect right now. And this is where a lot of people cheat in relationships when they think the grass is greener. Okay? So when he said the person was perfect, what he generally meant, he felt the girl was what? Was doing all the right things. And instead of pursuing it, he said, I'm going to leave it alone. Now, I know a lot of people might think to themselves, then if she's perfect, you should continue the thing. But I'm like, I think what he's seeing is, this is linked to what we're going to see later on. I don't want to become like my father. I don't trust myself to go on another date with this woman and something not to develop, because he's a man of emotions, right? So that emotions go in to start to spill over to this woman, and he can find himself in a place he can't come back from. So it's better that he says, I leave it, then go forward. And actually, I'd rather that. Because that's some bullcrap if you're going to go on a second, third day and tell me that you don't like the person when you really do like the person. Like, be honest with yourself. If you know you can't do it, don't do it. Right? He's definitely invested in the relationship, but I think it sounds like he's more invested in dating someone, loving someone, and marrying someone. Based on his comment when he said to Rachel, "Oh, I'm ready to love a woman," and I said, "Okay, I think he's invested in wanting to be in a relationship, and be appreciated in a relationship." So yeah, I appreciated that. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate the fact that he did that. And it'll be interesting to see what happens to Laronda too, because I think she's the most prettiest woman on that show. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Laronda is buff to me. Obviously, but it'll be interesting to kind of get to know her thought process in terms of, when she did say about the little comment about, about the. I mean, I didn't actually necessarily see a problem with it at the time, but maybe the way that she expressed it, Dr. Nicole said it, kind of changed my viewpoint on it, where she said, actions have consequences. And I was like, I was like, yeah, they do. But then I think to myself, okay, maybe the way it was said in that moment, and in the constructs of what Dr. Nicole heard in that moment in time, yes, it was something that seemingly wasn't a threat, but it had some undertones or something. But I personally actually hear it at first. But I'm always open and willing to see that, because I think Dr. Nicole spends hours with them in a shot before anything else. So yeah, that was my quick breakdown. But I've got some great panelists today. I got a super panelist team, brand new, come up on here to talk to you guys, okay? To talk to you guys about Put a Ring on It, episode 1. Listen, I think it's going to be a great conversation. Let me bring that back in shot. I think it's going to be a great conversation. Make sure you grab your pen and your papers, guys, okay? All right, because they've got their pen and paper. They've got their notes ready, you know what I'm saying? They've got their words ready as well to have a really great conversation. So I'm going to bring my panelists on to the show right now. So, appreciate you guys. Let me bring you all along. And we're going to get this conversation flowing. Jeez, we have a full house out here. You have a whole house out here. Okay. Alrighty. Guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to mute everybody because sometimes it catches mics. All right, cool. So, I know you guys. We had a good chat in our group chat. I saw some comments. People were interested and had a different viewpoints. I think we should start off with. Let me see. Who should we start off with? The one that's problematic the most. Should we start with that? I don't know. Actually, do you know what? Everyone's problematic. I don't know who really. I can't really say someone's problematic more than anybody else. I think we've got all different types. But let's start off with Erica and Jess. I think Jessica and Erica. Let's start off with them. So we'll start from right to left. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on the board so people can see. We'll start with Erica and Jessica. Okay, cool. So let me go first to Drew. I'm gonna get you in first, straight. Yeah. Yeah, because you was looking down in it, so it's unfortunate. I just had to find something that was odd. I just chose you to just like that. So, Drew, listen, I want to ask you a question, okay? I want to ask you a question about Jess and Erica, all right? They began their relationship seemingly on a rocky ground, okay? There was some cheating potentially that was said, and they started a relationship well. What's the problem with starting a relationship that way? And how do you think that's affected Jessica and Eric in their relationship?
Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm Drew. It's good to meet you all. First off, I did notice like they did say they were together for 4 years, but I must say the biggest issue I see with this relationship is there is no trust whatsoever. Before the therapist even mentioned, before Dr. Nicole even mentioned like who he was going to be matched with, she was so nervous, so anxious. And I think it's because of their history, because she did mention right before Dr. Nicole said that feelings are not facts, that before, when they just started in their first year of being together, that he was for the streets. He was a hoe. She literally said he was a hoe. He was sleeping around, and they were together. So I think because of this, it has led to such it has instilled like a deep fear in her. She is so afraid of that happening again, of him even getting the chance to connect with someone. Because notice, even after, when Dr. Nicole also asked her at the end of the date if he wanted to go on another date, and he said no, she lit up. And Dr. Nicole told her, well, that's not, that small gratification, it really doesn't make sense for you to be that happy over such a decision, because she needs to be able to trust him, but also she gets so carried away with her own feelings. Before anything even happens, she has already concluded he's going to cheat. There is no trust in that relationship whatsoever, in my opinion.
Good points, Drew. Good start. Appreciate that. Let me go to the right then, Chris Natha. Let's get your viewpoints. Jess and Eric, what's the problem there, man? I mean, I know there's
There's
cheating
a
happening.
lot wrong there.
Talk to us.
Hi, everyone. So, yes, I agree 100%. Their foundation isn't right because they started off either friends with benefits. It seems like that was the situation. I don't know if she was the side piece. I don't know if they were just friends with benefits. I'm not really sure what it was when they met, but he was telling his date that he had all these women and Jessica at the beginning. And she's also said he was for the streets. So I think because of the foundation and the way that they got together, the way that their relationship was, she says the first year, it may still be that way. We don't know. But because of that, there's always going to be a constant stress, a constant fear, a constant, she's always going to need reassurance. And I just don't think she's ever really going to get to the point where she trusts him. And I don't know if he's really giving her reason to trust him, because he was really excited about his date. So I don't know if she's going to give him, if he's going to give her reason to trust him. So I think with them, honestly, she kept saying that marriage is the goal for her, and he kept saying he thinks they can get there. I think there may be some gaslighting happening there. I'm not sure if they can get there. And I'm not even sure if she really wants it to get there. I know that she loves him, but trying to marry somebody you don't trust is a recipe for disaster. So
Good points. Good points. I appreciate Chris Natha. Let me ask Malaysia. Oh my days. Me and names, you know.
Melissa.
Malaysia. You have to keep reminding
Okay.
me.
It doesn't matter. It's okay.
It does matter. Okay, your name.
Okay, so
Go for it.
for me, I feel as if they're both operating on insecurity. Jessica and Eric. I feel like the way they not verbalize, but the way it manifests in them are different. So, for example, Jessica, her mechanism for the insecurity is for her to almost put out negativity into the relationship before it actually manifests, almost as a security blanket, almost as a way to protect herself from what she thinks is the inevitable. And that's why I loved when Dr. Nicole said to her that, at the end of the day, your feelings are not facts, and you should not address the relationship in that manner. Now, his way of showing his insecurities is two ways, actually. One of the ways is that he loves watching this woman squirm, because according to him, he feels as if she has this fake, tough exterior where nothing bothers her, but he knows that it does. And he gets a kick out of it every time he can see that his actions bother her. So for him, that is kind of stroking his ego, so to speak. So he feels as if that is what he's using to, I guess, soothe his insecurity. Now, another way that I know that this man is insecure and he is holding on to his youth. If we take a look at, you guys, the hairline, I didn't want to really speak on it because I felt as if, but it's just so obvious. I feel like it's the thing to gravitate. So I feel like he's holding on to this youth. He's holding on to his past self, his past life, through his hair, through the way he makes this young woman squirm. And even when he went on the date, he was like, oh, he knows something for sure, and that is that he still has it. So this man's whole demeanor is to prove to the woman that he's with and anybody who has any doubt that he still has it. But in the process, he's looking a little bit ridiculous. I mean, I feel like everybody could agree to the fact that the hairline he has to come to terms with the fact that he needs to let that hair go. Like, let the hair go. This is looking crazy on national TV. Like, there's something that, and that just proves how insecure he is. He's hiding behind what used to be, what was his hair, what used to be his hair. Get over it. This couple is just a disaster, you guys. It is a disaster. She's operating on fear, and he's operating on the loss of his youth or the losing of his youth, and they're coming together with, oh my gosh. I don't know, you guys. That's my take on them.
I hear you on that. 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 Listen, I ain't gonna lie. I think okay. So let's deal with the hair stuff quickly and get out of the way. Because here's the thing, right? We're not. I want to make it very very clear because I want to make. I don't want to. What I'm not here for is to insult anyone's appearance. Okay, but if we're linking it to the fact this behavior which you did, I appreciate that. Because actually there may be some behavior stuff. But if we're just saying about the fact we don't like the fact the hairlines are the madness, let's leave that alone. Okay, let's leave his hairline alone. He might be doing a transplant or something. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? He might be doing something with it. Do you know what I'm saying? But if you feel it's linked to behavior, then you can mention it. But if it's not linked to behavior, please leave his hairline alone. It's probably still doing. He's probably doing something with it. Let's encourage the brother as we go. All right, cool. Let me get. Let me get the other panelists on viewpoints on this as well. But I'm going to ask you guys a different question. I know I asked about the foundation. But let me ask the panelists who are on the bottom deck as well. Why stay in such a relationship? What makes not a woman or a man stay in a relationship where you had such a rocky foundation? You know, cheating's going on. He's been a hoe. He's doing this. He's doing that. Like, as much as we're saying about his behavior that he's moving mad, but sis, you were there for a whole year looking at it and thinking it was okay. You know what I'm saying? What makes a woman want to stay? Essence, you are first one to go for you on the bottom deck, so go for it. What's your viewpoints on that? What makes somebody stay in such a situation when they're seeing some of the madness they're seeing at the beginning? Oh, sorry, I need to unmute you. My bad. Go for it, Essence. Sorry about that.
Hi everyone. Well, if you noticed, Jessica and Eric, they were the only couple who mentioned Instagram about 2 or 3 times this whole time. And I think that both of these couples, they present pretty much what Instagram and social media often projects, and it's being superficial, smoke and mirrors. Jessica is a beautiful woman. I think that's the reason why they're staying in this dynamic in this relationship, really for the physical aspect of it. Other than that, it really does seem superficial to me, very surface. I don't see any depth in that relationship. Um, I do think that Jessica cares a lot about Eric. That is obvious. But at the same time, I also believe that she has insecurities in this relationship. I really think that's the only reason why they're staying together right now. That's the only thing that I can see. I don't want to assume anything other than that. This was the first episode, but for now, I just think it's very superficial.
Sorry, my mic was off. Doc, jump in for me. What makes someone stay in this type of relationship seeing all of that? I mean, you really are seeing, like World War III in your relationship and you decide to stay. What makes people want to stay in such a relationship?
Okay, well, several things that I noticed from just the show. She said that, she put a lot of hard work into the relationship. So when you have a person that is invested in a relationship such as that, it's very, very difficult to let it go. Because you could be in it because of the potential that you see. And in his case, he was with the Atlanta Falcons. So that was an investment. So she put in a lot of work into that relationship. Another thing to think about is soul ties. Um, Soul ties that can play a part in a relationship. So if y'all are connected on
Doc,
a
Doc, we're
spiritual
losing you.
level.
We're losing you. Doc, we're losing you. We
Oh,
can't hear.
can you hear
It's
me?
cutting.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Try one more time. Let's see
It's
if we got
cutting.
it.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Try again.
You can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so based off their investment and the fact that he did play for the Atlanta Falcons, she's probably looking at the potential and all that comes with it. So she's put in a lot of work and dealt with, I'm sure, a lot of people, the friends, the other ladies that may have come about. So she's invested in that relationship. So she's looking to get something out of it. Another thing to consider is soul ties. When you involved in someone and you may be sleeping with them prior to marriage or however that can keep you connected. So there's a lot of red flags and there's a lot of things that is telling you no, don't go this way. But between the emotions, the lust, the soul ties, and all your investments, that's what's keeping them together.
Appreciate that. Good points. Good points. I keep doing that, man. I'll be muting myself and then I'll be saying stuff behind the scenes. I was like praising you, Doc, and saying, yeah, I like the point you gave. Okay, cool. Rachel, have we got you here as well? We got you here today, right? Okay.
Yes.
Rachel, I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna premise it with a little bit of a statement. She's so pretty. Why would she want to stay in such a relationship with a man like she can get any man she wants? Why would she stay in that relationship?
Hi, can you hear me? Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. Pretty is relative. And sometimes how you view someone from an outer space physically is not the same way that they feel internally. So you can be, for example, I have a lot of girlfriends who are beautiful and gorgeous, and they struggle with being beautiful and gorgeous, right? So you can be perceived as stunning and fabulous, but your mentality, your mindset, your spirit, you may feel like an ugly duckling. So it's tricky when we say, well, she's so pretty. How can she want to stay? Why would she want to stay? She can get anyone. If she doesn't have that belief system for herself, she will always stay, no matter what. If she doesn't believe that she's worth more, she will stay. If she doesn't believe that she can, I don't want to say do better because that's subjective, but if she doesn't understand her worth and her value and what she really wants in life, then she's going to stay. I hope that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
But can I say one more thing? Can I just say,
please, you can go. Please.
Dr. Nicole is so gorgeous. I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Nicole because she is just fabulous. I mean, did you guys see her? She is gorgeous. Saw her. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to say that.
I might have to make up a relationship to go on the show myself.
Yeah, I love her.
Okay. Appreciate it. Good points. Okay, cool. So we've got two more people who haven't contributed towards this particular topic here. I'm gonna go, Sean. I'm gonna go to you next, bro. But I want to ask you a question, okay? So because someone mentioned a really good point here that he may be trying to hold on to the past a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna preface a question. You can still talk about the couple. I just want to preface a question so that it can help with the conversation. Do men struggle sometimes to try and hold on to the past? Like, so I know he was an NFL. Like, it's not like he was. It's not like he was, I don't want to say small time, but it's not like he's working a regular 9 to 5 previously. He's on TV, he's got status, he's got power, he's got even potentially wealth as well. Can that contribute towards a man wanting to hold on to that? Like, I mean, is that really something that would happen to men in a sense of going into a relationship?
So I would say some men, right? There's that population of attention seeking, right? And looking for that outside validation. So I think men that are like that, and a lot of guys that are in entertainment or in fields where they're just so used to being praised and accoladed for the things that they do, it becomes a challenge to transition into maturity, right? And you see that so often with whether it's NBA players, NFL players, after they retire, they leave the league, they struggle, right? They can't figure out what those next steps are. and you see some of the successful ones who easily transition, into other careers, right? Because they realize this is just a moment in time. So I would say that looking at Eric's actions, how he moves, how he dresses, his mannerisms, all of that points us to the signs that he hasn't grown up, and he loves the attention. What I would say about the couple, if I can, just give a brief analysis of them, is that they are ideally suited for each other. I know that we spent some time talking about Jessica and her concerns, but who is Jessica? What is Jessica? Jessica is an IG model. She has a following of over 127,000, most of whom are men, who are adoring her. So the same way that Eric loves that attention, so does Jessica, right? So they're in this relationship for lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle relationship. That's how I see it, right? So they're both getting what they need. So I just found it very interesting when they were outside in that first scene at home, and he was showboating and taking off his shirt while they're washing the car. And she's like, oh, you want that for everybody else? But I'm like, you're on Instagram, right? And again, that's her profession, no disrespect, right? But you're on Instagram, half naked in some pictures where her bits and parts are barely covered, right? But you here don't want your dude outside with his shirt off washing the car with you? Come on. That's where, we get into that insecurity. So I just find it interesting. And just one last point is, you look at couples, and one thing I kind of researched, and I too love Dr. Nicole's insight, is you look at the different types of attachment styles that couples have, right? There's a couple of different styles, and you can kind of see and kind of notice the actions, right? So when you think about their attachment style, I would say it's avoidant, right? Because there's that lack of trust, right? They want a relationship, but they don't want the full relationship. They don't want the full intimacy. And then there's still that trust where you can't trust your partner. So you want to hover all the time. You can't give them any room to breathe or move about, right? Every time they move, you want to be right there with whatever step that they go. So that was my analysis and what I saw very early on with those two.
I like that. Appreciate it, Sean. Boss. Okay. Is it Brittany? Have I said it right? Brittany, have I said it right? It's just I saw an A there, I don't want to be mashing up people's names. It's not Brittany, it's Brittany or something. You know what I mean? I don't want to be killing nobody's name out here. Cool. Let me get you in. You can unmute yourself. So obviously we're talking about Jess and Erica, and I'll kind of leave it a little bit open because I've asked everyone else a question, but I'll leave it open for you. What was your kind of thoughts on Jessica and Eric, in terms of, like I said, the foundation of their relationship starting that way? You know what I mean, with a little bit of sexy stuff. I don't understand what was going on there, but what was your kind of thoughts on Jessica and Erica?
Well, first off, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Right. And my first thoughts about both of them were that, like you said, the foundation very shaky. And the first thought that came to mind was that you'll start the relationship the way it'll end, right? Usually you hear that when it starts off in the way they started it off. I think they both said they came from situations where there was infidelity. So that is where that insecurity is coming from in the beginning from both ends. And then perspective wise, when you look at where their insecurities are coming from or how it's manifesting, they both need to do some work on themselves, just period. They both need therapy. They both need to work on how to get through their insecurities because they're both looking for each other to fill whatever voids they have, and they can't because they don't know how to. They both came from broken relationships. And then for Jessica, just as a woman, because I can identify with her more, you can tell she doesn't want to, I don't want to say she doesn't want to do the work. Maybe she doesn't know how to work on her insecurity because she's looking for him to help her out with her issues. And he's not going to do that because he has his own, which are pretty much the same. And for him, he wants, like you said, he wants to know if he still has it. And they're both thinking from the past. They're not thinking with a present thought process. They're thinking from the past. And that's where the problem lies. If you can't think from the present, then where is your relationship going to go? It's going to stay at a dead end. So they really need to sit down and really look at what is going on in the present. Don't think about the past anymore. I mean, they can think about the past because they have to understand where the issues are coming from. But if you're going to assume that he just wants to be out in the streets and wants to have sex, then she's gonna push him away. And eventually he is gonna go for the next best thing because she's insecure. And then for her, if she's not getting what she wants from him, I pray she leaves, but most of the time women just end up staying because of the work that they put in. Just like Doc said, like it's hard to let go of a situation you're so invested in. And the problem with women sometimes with us is that we have too much hope, thinking that we can change a situation, but that's not going to happen. You cannot change a man. He has to come to that on his own. And the best way to do that is for her to put her foot down. If you want to see change, you got to show him love on top of telling him what you're not going to accept, but showing him, not just saying it, because he needs to see that. So, yeah.
Boss, appreciate it, Brittany. Boss, appreciate it. I want to ask a question because I think we touched on something really, really important, and I want to ask the panelists this question because I think someone mentioned it about the emotional investment that's been put into the relationship, because it really was a point when she said it and I picked up and I said, whoa, I said, sis, you ain't winning here, okay? Like, she really did say, she's worked for this, and I'm like, if you've worked for this looks like a hot mess right now. So if you've worked for this hot mess and you're emotionally invested in this, and I guess I want to ask the panelists, I mean, why do we get such mindsets where we feel like we've put so much effort into a relationship and we can't leave? Because I know I've already asked a little bit about why did she stay, but we've kind of got a little bit of an answer now in terms of the emotional investment. I want to get someone's viewpoint on that. What does that mean that you've put in work? What does that actually mean? You've put in work into a relationship, and so we're here. What does that actually mean? So that people can understand that. Melissa, you want to go for Melissa? Sorry, you want to go for it.
Alicia.
Melissa, oh my God.
So I feel as if when women say that they put in a lot of work into the relationship, I believe it translates to they tolerated a lot in the relationship. So she's tolerated his infidelity, she's tolerated his lies and deceit, and she feels like for all that she's put on herself mentally, she deserves the marriage. That's why she says she deserves to be married, because she put herself through all of that with him. And I feel like she doesn't want to let it go because she feels like, if I've already done all this damage mentally to myself, and if I've done things to uplift him, if I just leave it, I'm gonna make him better for the next woman. And I don't want the next woman to benefit from my sacrifice. And I feel like that is why she's unable to just get up and leave. And I also feel like she said that I think she said she fell in love with him the first time she saw him. And that is something else, because what she did was she ended up trapping herself in that relationship from the very beginning with no justification for why she was doing it. She just did it because what she saw at the moment was what she thought she wanted and who she thought he was. So I feel like that's another reason why it's difficult for her to leave. She trapped herself. She let her emotions dictate her actions when she should have been dating him and getting data from him and thinking logically. She decided to make her emotions make her do irrational things. And I feel like she has trapped herself in this, and hence why it's hard for her to leave.
Good points. Sean, I saw you mentioned in the chat. Did you want to contribute a little something to that question?
Sure. So I'll say, and I just challenged that work part, right? Because I heard her say that, like, I did so much work. Well, one, whenever you're talking about a relationship, that's a trigger when somebody says I, right? Because We know there's two people in a relationship, so it's got to be a we. So if you're leading with the I, that's more of like, it's probably surface acts that you feel are relevant or relative to keep you in that relationship versus doing things that are going to strengthen you as a couple, right? So that's kind of what I saw. And for me, I always, when I think about relationships or I hear things like this, I look at how did you get started, right? So what's the foundation of your relationship? So they told us early on, the foundation was based on multiple people at play, and eventually they wound up together. So we don't know how that all played out. We don't know if he was in another relationship and then Jessica stole him from the other girl, or he picked Jessica over the other girl, or however it all played out. We don't know the details, but what I do know is that there was some confusion in that mix. So what outcomes is she really looking for? Is it just the marriage? Again, goes back to the lifestyle and the image. Do you just want to be married so you can post pictures on the gram of your ring, right? That needs to be a certain carat weight, right? And your wedding dress and your venue and your vacations. Is that what you're looking for? Or do you really want to build, with your partner?
Solid points. I'm hearing that. Brittany, you're the last person on this particular question, and I'll change the question. Go for it.
Okay, so when it comes to putting in work, are you putting in work or are you proving yourself and performing the entire time? Because like Sean was mentioning in our chat, like, are you trying to eliminate other people or are you trying to be yourself within the situation so that he really chooses you for you? Are you trying to one up every other woman he's dealing with, right? Are you trying to prove that you deserve the ring, even though you're probably not going to get it, when you want it? Because again, it's up to him to ask, unless you want to be like some of these girls that get on one knee, which I don't think it should be done. But are you going to, now when you want to put in work in a relationship, that means you guys are, like Sean said, strengthening it. Are you guys actually sitting down and being transparent with each other about what your issues are? How can you work those things out? And how can they be figured out so that when the time comes and that issue seems to come up again, how can we deal with this like adults and not children playing a game? That's it. So are you doing the work to prove, or are you doing the work for someone to actually choose you for you? That's my question. Good
points. Love the points that you guys shared. I want to ask another question about Jessica and Eric as well. Eric made a Eric kind of became, I guess, double standards when it came to the rules. So, they were asking about rules and saying, what rules you want to add. And the moment she began to put her rules down, he was like, well, I must not go on a date then. And I'm going to just give my preface of what my statement is and I'll ask the question. When I saw that, I said, if she ever tries to implement any standards into this relationship, he will never respect the standards. Because if at the very moment when we're doing it on a show and we're asked to give our rules to how we're going to engage on this, and you instantly turn around and say, well, it's basically, I'm not going to go on a date, basically. He's basically saying, when I give you rules, I'm cool, but if you give me rules, I don't expect you to give me rules. And that means that the moment to be honest, basically this relationship is almost in the dead in the pan. But the moment she gives a proper standard in terms of how I want to be treated, he is going to break that standard. Because you can't even do this part. If you can't do the small part, how would you expect him to do the big part? But this is why the show is here. So now when she does begin to have the strength to now put maybe some boundaries in place, now we can really see who Eric really is. Because I'm going to say one last thing and point the question. I think he didn't choose Shamar going forward because she never showed that she was going to be weak for him. I'm just going to be honest with you. Because the moment he asked her and she said, honestly, this behavior, I can't run with it. Honestly, like, I'm sorry, but I can't run with that behavior. And the moment she did that, I said, yeah, he ain't gonna run with that. And then he ended up didn't choose her. And I was like, yeah, of course you wouldn't, because she's not gonna give you what you want, which is the control element. And I'm not saying necessarily he's an abuser or anything. I'm just talking about the fact that control, having that control, maybe to do whatever you want to do in a relationship. That's my personal thoughts. But let me answer this question. The double standards. that he implemented, what was your kind of thoughts on that? Why do people tend to have double standards when it comes to, let's say, giving rules or boundaries within their relationships? Why do people tend to do that, dealing with Eric and Jessica? Essence, haven't heard from you, so I'll go to you and then go to Drew after. Oh, I need to unmute you. Sorry, let me unmute you. Sorry, Essence, go for it. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the double standard, I think that's just a lot of times what men can do in their relationships. They don't want to see anybody with their woman. So that's where the double standard came from. But I've noticed something that was interesting about Eric and really Jessica and their dynamic. He mentioned that Jessica completes him. And when he said that, Jessica looked at him kind of sideways and said, "That's cute." And that was the way that she said it. Almost she didn't believe that. She didn't believe his own sentiments that he said about her. And I thought that was very telling. And then something else that he said after his date, he said, I'm trying to see if I'm missing something in the dating life, if I'm missing something from being in a single life. And so what that told me was that Jessica's not in competition with these girls that he's dating. She's in competition with the streets. She's in competition with all of the women out there, with the single life. And that's never going to end. That's a never ending competition that she's up against right now. And so, I mean, that's that double standard in there. He doesn't want her with anyone else. But he wants to just be able to, as it was stated before, he doesn't want to let that pass go. He doesn't want to let just being in the streets, being single, and we're talking about behavior here. He doesn't want to let that go, and it's just so apparent. So that's where that double standard comes in.
Good points there, Essen. Appreciate it. Drew, what was your thoughts? Why is the double standard? Why does he decide to bring this double standard in there? Is there a reason for that kind of behavior? Oh, I need to unmute you. My bad. Go for it.
Oh, sorry.
Drew.
Yeah, I was saying that I do agree with Essence in terms of he doesn't want her to be with anybody else. But more than that, I would say the double standard comes from two reasons in this relationship. In the beginning, in the first year of their relationship, the cheating that pursued, she didn't set a boundary earlier on. So if you don't set a boundary early on, now that we're 4 years in, nothing you try to implement now, I'm not going to take it seriously. And I think that's a big part of what's happening. And also, Sean mentioned that she doesn't seem to work. And I was going to point that out, that when everyone else introduced themselves, oh, I'm a retired basketball player, I'm an NFL player, everybody else said what they did. She was the only one who didn't really say what I do for a living. So I get the impression that he is the breadwinner, or that she relies on him financially. And if I want to run the streets and you rely on me financially, who are you going to tell? Why am I going to listen to you and you tell me to stop? I'm going to do what I want to do and you're going to shut up and take it. And that's the impression I'm getting from their dynamic.
Appreciate the points, Drew. Appreciate the points. Chris Nartha, jump in for me as well.
In terms of the double standards, I don't know if you guys recall this, but Eric had a necklace that said "I want it all" or something along those lines. "I want it all," and I'm like, "How old are you? How old are you, Eric? Like, you want it all? You can't have it all." But it seems like he's been having it all, in terms of, just like the lady said, with him being for the streets, not wanting to commit, wanting to see her squirm. Why would you want to see your girlfriend of 4 years squirm? Like, oh, I love when I see her squirming like this. This showing emotion. This is showing she cares about me. It just doesn't make sense. And so with the double standards, I just feel like it's not fair, number one, but also she didn't lay down the law at the beginning. And I really believe that we date, we accept foolishness, and we put up with crap according to our self-esteem. And so this reflects how Jessica, unfortunately, feels about herself. So hopefully she can start loving herself more, and then she won't put up with him. But I just believe that he's not trying to commit because he doesn't have to. When commitment isn't a requirement at the beginning, when respect and boundaries isn't laid at the beginning, to now in 4 years say this is how it has to be now, it's really hard. And so it's going to be interesting to see how their story plays out.
Appreciate it, Chris Arthur. Doc, you want to go next?
All right, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just thinking about something that Jessica said. She said that she blamed. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Good. So she mentioned that her friends were to blame in regards to Eric. And it just made me think of, birds of a feather flock together. And he probably saw a lot of what his friends were able to get away with, in regards to dating and relationships, especially being in the NFL. So it made me think about if he wanted to have the same lifestyle as the friends that he hung out with. So that's what made me think of that.
Doc,
Did
I
you
think we
lose
lost
me?
you again. Yeah, we're losing you, sis.
You lost me.
The angels are fighting hard, but the demons out here trying to take your connection away, sis. Again, try one more
Listen, they're
time.
trying. They're trying. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go again.
All
Go
right,
again.
all right. Let's try this again in the blood of Jesus. So I was saying that with Eric and his friends, birds of a feather flock together. And it made me think about how he may desire to have the same lifestyle as his friends being in the NFL. So if he's able to see his friends dating other women, doing what they want to do, that's the type of life that he desires. And then also thinking about it, us as humans, we get our behaviors from someone or something. So we've seen it before and we kind of mimic it and copy it. So if he's hanging around these guys and they're, going out, clubbing or whatever they're doing, he thinks that he can do what he wants to do, even though that's not the right thing to do. So that's a double standard in itself, just because of what he's trying to do from the friends that he's around. And she said it like she blamed football, she blames the friends that he's around. So that's what made me think about where that double standard come from and that behavior come from concerning Eric.
Appreciate that. Thank you for persevering. The sound was crisp after. I don't know what happens, but every time you persevere, the sound becomes crisp. The demons out here working hard, bruv. Appreciate you. Brittany, jump in for me. Double standards. What's going on? What's contributing towards someone wanting to have double standards? What's happening here?
Okay, so I'll pretty much jump off of what Doc said because I was going in the same direction. The double standard thing, as soon as she implements something, he's going to fight her every time. There's nothing more to say about that. She never put her foot down in the beginning. He's going to laugh at her and be like, okay, if that's what you said, but I'm going to still do what I want to do over here. Now, when it comes to his friends, his mindset is going to have to change if they want to get married. I mean, on both ends, has to change. If it doesn't change, their marriage is going to be in shambles. I mean, why would you want to start off a marriage with insecurity on both ends that has not been addressed yet? And then on top of that, if you want to change when it comes to his friends, he needs to change his surroundings, right? So you know how they say you're just as good as the 5 friends you have. If his 5 friends are still playing around in the streets, he gonna want to do the same thing. End of story. Now, if you want to level up, you're gonna have to cut some people off, or you don't have to cut them off, but distance yourself. You got to understand the direction you're going in. And if the direction you're going in is separate from where other people are, then you got to learn how to let people go. Now, that doesn't mean y'all can't still be friends, but you have to limit the time you have with people if you're trying to change your circumstances. And if you want your circumstances to change, then you're going to have to change who, what, when, where, why, and how is around you. I mean, it's all of that. You really have to sit down and think, is this something that you really want? Does he really want to get married? Because at this point, I don't think so. I feel like he still has too much to prove. His mind is still very childlike. Well, I don't want to say childlike, but he acts like a kid in college, a guy in college. Been around a lot of them, still know a bunch of them. And, they just want to have fun. And that's how I feel like he is. And she is sitting there tolerating it. But whose fault is that? It's hers. She can leave if she wants, but somehow she is stuck. And like Doc said, them soul ties are real. It is not easy to let go.
Good points, Brittany. Appreciate it. Rach.
Yeah. I feel for Jessica. Okay, double standards. We live in a patriarchal system where men can do a bunch of things that women can't. So double standards just are in our everyday world. But I believe the biggest double standard is the one that we have with ourselves. So I believe Jessica, in the depths of her spirit, knows that Eric. I don't know. I get player energy from Eric. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I don't want to judge him because I don't know him. And I so believe in editing. I know a lot of people don't, but I believe in editing. And these shows will, anyway. Eric reminds me of like my homeboy on the streets of Brooklyn in Bed-Stuy, who's like, chasing down the street, riding a bike, two-wheeling. He's a fun boy. He's a playboy. He's out there on the streets. And I think Jessica knows this. But if she has double standards within herself, how can she teach Eric not to have double standards with her? Right? So what could a potential double standard be within herself? I know this is not a relationship for me. I know I shouldn't stay, but I stay. And then I'm always going to want to be in this winning position, because from what I thought that he had stated to a friend of his that he was dating two of the girls plus her, and that he chose her. That's what I thought. Maybe I could be wrong. So I think she's constantly in this space of wanting to be in the winning position. And she's always wanting to win and be chosen and be the winner of his heart. So how does she stay true to herself? How does she create those boundaries that you guys really discussed? How does she, teach him how to treat her while getting out of her own double standard with herself? I hope that makes sense.
Makes total sense. I appreciate it. He's a bit of a playboy. I hear you.
I mean, I don't know. That's the energy. When I'm dealing with people, I try to go with that energy. Yeah, and energy was kind of like, play.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Yeah. Sean, you haven't jumped in this conversation for the double standards yet, so jump on it. And Brittany, I see you. So jump on it for me, Sean. What's your viewpoint?
So I think Rachel, put it pretty clearly, right? That's just kind of the way things work. Does that mean we settle for it? Does that mean there's ways that we mitigate that in our relationships? Absolutely. But we there's always that running joke out there, right? In a relationship that's a man and a woman, there's certain expectations of that man and there's certain expectations of the woman. Somebody breaks into the house, I'm not looking for my woman to go jump and get whoever the intruder is, right? So I think in some instances, those roles serve us, and in some instances, they don't. Each couple needs to assess what works for them and what doesn't. However, I don't think we just throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Because those roles are in place for a reason, for the most part, right? And, I'm not talking caveman style over here, but I'm saying certain roles are set up for a reason. And when you see that things are moving in an off kind of way, a lot of times that's just because there's an imbalance in the relationship. And one of the things I saw, and we were chopping it up in our group chat a couple of days ago, is when it came to Eric, there's almost like this double-mindedness, this kind of playfulness, not knowing who he is, not, being a man in the sense of, just standing on who you are and just moving accordingly, right? And an example of that is you looked at his jewelry, right? He's got a cross on, a couple of crosses, and then an ankh, right? So what are you? Is that just a fashion piece? Do you know what an ankh means? Do you know what the cross means? Are you representing religion, or this is just play for you, right? So which is it, or is it neither? So I just think that's, for me, when I look at him, I see somebody that is confused and doesn't know what he wants. But honestly, I really don't think Jessica does either. I don't see it. I mean, I'm open to be wrong, and I'm interested to see how this whole thing plays out. I think it's great they're in this space because Dr. Nicole will help flesh some of that out. But right now, just looking at their interactions, I don't think she knows what he wants. She wants marriage, but I don't think sometimes people want the idea of a marriage, but not what comes with marriage, right? You just want to be married, but you don't want the marriage, right? And that's so important. And that's why the divorce rate is so high, because people get into marriages because they want a marriage, but they forget that there's so many other working components of a marriage that are bigger than just being married. So that's my thought.
Love that point. Love that. Thank you, Sean. Brittany, you want to add?
Okay, so I'm just going to make this short and sweet. So I didn't want to say this, but I knew this from the beginning, from the moment both of them explained how they saw their relationship. They don't need to be together at all. Now, they can stay together as long as both of them want to put in the work, and I mean the real work, meaning they have to do the work on themselves and then bring that into the relationship. And the only way that is going to work is if they both come to a consensus about it. Otherwise, there's going to be continued conflict on the individual end and conflict on the couple end. And then when there's conflict within the individual, there's going to be conflict within the couple. Because when you get married, you become one. You can't, it's not going to work. You become one flesh. So how is this going to work if you guys cannot be on the same mindset or track emotionally? They're both emotionally unstable. I mean, just put it that way. Because it's going to come to a head at some point where I don't want to say it, but I don't want to say it's going to come to blows, but it could get to that point if it gets heated enough. But they both have to come to a consensus on working on themselves first. And if that doesn't happen, I could just see them breaking up at the end of it. And then on top of that, just Eric as a man, I feel like he's lost. He has no direction. I don't feel like he has a sense of direction. What's his vision? What's his mission? Where's he going in life? He can't lead her. And I'm sure that's another question in her mind. Like, can he really lead me? Because she takes on a lot of the stuff that I feel like a man should probably do. But he's not taking it upon himself to do it because he has nothing to work towards. What is he doing? And then for her, how's she going to, I don't want to say play her role as a wife, but take on her wifely duties if she can't get her emotions together. So then they're both going to be emotionally unstable. She has to learn how to set up her boundaries. And if she can't stick to them, then this is not going to work. That's it.
Good points. Appreciate it. Appreciate.
Can I say something quickly?
Yeah, okay, go.
I just want to go back to the topic of double standards. I feel like he came into the relationship putting himself above her because of his career in the NFL. And if you've heard any NFL players speak, a part of their job is putting themselves first and you as the partner putting them first as well. I feel like that's the only way the dynamic works with an NFL player. So I feel like he's always looked at her as if she was a dime a dozen and he could replace her just as easily. And she looked at herself that way as well. So because of that dynamic coming into the relationship, it's somewhat created almost ready-made double standard, not taking into consideration society already having the double standard. That job that he had put him on a pedestal that made her put herself down and put him up. So I feel like that plays a huge role in the double standard and dynamic of their relationship.
Appreciate the points. Thank you very much. All right, cool. Let's talk. I think we've spoken quite well on Jess and Eric in the beginning. You guys have made some really great points surrounding them as well. Let's move on to a second couple. Let's move on to Alexis and is it Darian? I believe his name is Mob Deep or Mobfield. Mob Deep, Mobfield. They're all the same for me. I don't listen to those songs. I don't know them. But no, let me respect his Mobfield. Is it Mobfield? Mob Deep? Mob Field? None of us know. Thank God. We all live and listen to gospel.
I think it's Field Mob.
It's Field Mob. Oh, my days. Okay. Field Mob. Sorry about that, Darian. Do apologize. Okay, so Field Mob. So we had Darian and Alexis. I know obviously the 14 years is a big thing, and maybe that we can discuss that a little bit, but I guess I wanted to kind of bring in another aspect with them and go straight into Darian coming back to talk to Alexis. That point where he begins to explain the date and how it went with Kai. Okay. I want to get you guys' viewpoints on that, because I think that was an interesting scene in terms of where the conversation tried to go somewhere, but it didn't go where it wanted to go in the end, right? And she ended up leaving the room. So I just want to get you guys' perspective on that. Okay, Drew, let me hear you. I'm going to go straight to you. Yeah, girl, I hope you drank some water and you're ready. Stay hydrated up in here.
Listen, already at the screen, all my patois came out my mouth when Darian came on the screen. Because I was like, what are you talking about? He already just annoyed me so much. First of all, how dare you? You come back home and you're telling me as your woman about your date. And you're telling me about her breasts and her bottom and all these things. I was just looking at him like, is he right in his mind? Is he mad? It's absolutely disrespectful. And then on top of that, he felt the need to compare his woman of 14 years to someone who he spent maybe an hour or two with. Already he became very critical of her. Oh, she doesn't do this. This thing that you're doing right now, she doesn't do this. Excuse me? Who are you speaking to? I was just like, I cannot. I simply cannot with this level of disrespect. And then I was with her. I thought the best thing for her to do is, instead of escalating the situation, is to leave, because it was not necessary to get so descriptive of her physical attributes. And already even her, I believe her name was Kai. When she came in, I thought, what's his woman's name again? Alexis. She was quite mature about the situation. Did anybody see Kai actually touch him, like rub his shoulder down? Like, she was already a bit too handsy for me. I was just like, I'm gonna need you to chill. And then he was so accommodating. Even on the date, she was very forward, just very, like, all the sexual innuendos. I don't even know if we can call them innuendos, because she was being very direct, overly sexual, and he was so accommodating of it. So I think that boosted him a little bit. So he came on with all this energy, like, I'm all that, as we say in Jamaica, all that on a bag of chips. So now you feel you're special. You're coming home with attitude because you think you're special. Oh no, I need him to go. He gets on my nerves. No.
I hear you, Drew. Thanks for that. Appreciate that, Drew. Chris Namfa. So obviously, yeah, he did describe, I'm still confused. I don't know, why does someone do that? That's my question. It's, why does someone come from a date and then starts describing? First of all, I mean, obviously no one comes back from a date and comes back to their partner. I mean, let's go an open relationship. But why do you come back from a date and then start explaining breast and bum and trying to tell your girlfriend something? I'm not, you know what I mean, and not making it very, very clear. Why does someone do that? You know what I'm saying? And by the way, sorry guys, I didn't know her name. It's Alexia, not Alexis. Apologies. So my bad. That's my bad.
I'm asking myself the same question. What was he trying to accomplish by telling his girlfriend about another woman? And then not even about the conversation. He didn't go in depth about the conversation, even though that conversation was crazy, because it was getting really inappropriate, in my opinion. But talking about her body, right? Like, why are you talking about her body to your girl? Like, I just don't know how he thought that was going to end. I thought it was disrespectful. If I was her, I'd be really frustrated as well. And because I don't want to hear that. And I think maybe the date just did something for his ego. So I don't know if it was trying to make her jealous, if it was trying to make her feel like, she needed to step up her game in some way. But when he said, you're doing this and she doesn't do that, that was like way too much. Because how do you know how this new girl is? You've seen her one time, right? And so how are you already all the guys, they already know that this person is such a good person. Everybody's a good person on the first date, at least most of the time. So I really don't know why he would start that conversation that way. I think he just should have came in and said, this is what happened. He did cross the line on that date. I feel like he didn't set boundaries, but that's another thing. But I really don't know what he was trying to accomplish. I thought it was really disrespectful. So I look forward to seeing how her date goes and how she tells him what happened. So
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Essence, you've been real quiet, girl. What are you telling me, man? I mean, you go for it.
Okay, I'm a Drew here. Darian, is that his name? He gets on my nerve. Okay, can we talk about it? Okay, first of all, I don't think that he was trying to accomplish anything by bringing that information to Alexia, the physical attributes of his date. The question really is, what has been the paradigm of their relationship for the last 14 years? They've been together for the last 14 years. He knows what ticks off his girlfriend, and she knows what ticks off him. He's operating the way that they have been operating for over a decade. For over a decade, she's been dealing with this, and he's been dealing with her. That's really where the problem is there. And when he was on that date with Kai, all of the physical, touchy, and let's talk about his perception of himself first. His perception of himself, you're what a celebrity would want. He's looking for someone to appreciate what he feels his social status is, because Alexia has been with him for 14 years and she's not impressed anymore. That's what I'm getting out of it. And so all of the flirting that Kai was doing, for me, it looked like she was doing this because she enjoyed the competition of it. I know that you have a woman at home, so I'm gonna flirt with you, and I'm gonna, it just really gave that to me. That's what it gave. Yeah, other than that, I really don't know why I don't know why he would bring that back to her, the physical attributes of his date, other than that's just how they operate. That's how they speak to each other. It seemed like a very toxic dynamic, that they could argue back and forth like that. It probably could blow up to something really toxic, but they'll be good by the end of the night because they're used to that dynamic. They've known each other for 14 years, or they've been together for 14 years. So that's what I got out of it.
Good points. Appreciate it, Essence. Appreciate it. Doc, talk to me.
Let's hope this doesn't go out again. Oh gosh. But oh gosh, where do I start? So with the whole celebrity thing, so if people don't really know, like Phil Mob was hot during that time with Jazzy Faye and Sierra, when Sierra was coming out, and to have artists coming from Albany, Georgia, which is you could say a country area, but good people, coming from that area, and you now have this celebrity way about you once you make it big with Sierra and Jazzy Faye during that time. Once that time phases out for you, or you're not making the music you used to make, kind of like what Eric is doing to see if he still got it, it's almost the same thing with Darian or Smoke. He's just trying to see, if he kind of still has it as a celebrity. So by him going on these dates and flirting with Kai and those different things, that's what it kind of seems like. And then, of course, he had to mention that he was a celebrity. So that kind of just made me look at him sideways like, okay, Smoke, that was unnecessary. But when you find men having to bring up who they are, how much money they have, their status, they're looking for a certain amount of attention. And if he had to go back and tell Alexia, all this stuff about Kai and whoever she was, he was trying to get a reaction out of her. Again, attention. That's really what that is. And they've been going back and forth with this. I'm assuming, don't want to assume, but 14 years worth of this. You're looking for some type of attention to get riled up from her. So That's really how I see it. And I feel bad for the both of them to be in a relationship for 14 years and they still haven't come to a consensus of what they're going to do. And I kind of felt some type of way with Smoke when he said, you know, well, I'm waiting for this to be organic. I'm waiting for this to, you know, to just go with it naturally to make my decision on being married. Sir, 14 years is a marriage. Just go to the courthouse and sign the papers at this particular point because this is well overdue. And you're just trying to find excuses to go around this, and it's not working. There is none.
Appreciate it, Doc. Appreciate Doc. The connection's strong again. The angels are working their magic. Yeah, we're gonna go to Brittany. What's really interesting though is so obviously about the mention of the field mob that he was in that as well. I guess it's interesting because he did mention that you look like a girl that almost like would be a celebrity, and then obviously then he mentions about that he is a celebrity. He's mentioning her aesthetic, right? And that's what's getting him to say and class this woman as, you look like someone who's a celebrity. And that's why she quickly said, oh no, I'm just a normal country girl. But what's really interesting is obviously, I always say this as well, there's always, and I think Sean kind of mentioned about those who are entertainers, right? There is always this balance you have to keep because the ego is huge. Yeah, it can get huge very, very quickly. Right, I'm telling you this now. Even as me as a YouTuber, there's an ego. There generally is. At points, you almost have to think about why you're gonna say something. Right. So if I meet someone and I say I'm a YouTuber, some days when I say it, it's generally because I just want to tell you I'm a YouTuber. That's what I do for work. Some days I'll be like, I'm a YouTuber. And I know exactly what that meant. It was not to tell you that it's my job. It was to impress you. And so I'm trying to figure out whether him dropping the field mob thing at that moment, was he trying to drop it for the fact that he really wanted to drop it? Or just because you generally were just trying to let the person know what you were involved in. And maybe that's something that might come out a little bit later on as the course of the show goes on. I don't want to make a deduction just yet, but that comment about the celebrity girl, I said, maybe some way. Brittany, talk to me. What's your viewpoints?
First of all, that celebrity comment had me cringing because I was like, sir, it's been like since I graduated college. I ain't hear from you. So I was like, okay, I'll let you have that one. Don't bring it up again. But as soon as I saw Kai, though, I will say, I went straight to the Bible. And I automatically thought of, what was it, Proverbs?
Oh, Brittany, speak on it, because that's my spirit was saying the same thing, girl. Preach the Bible, girl. Preach it.
Okay. Should I read it? Do you want me to read it?
Read it so they know, because I was going to say the same scripture. Go for it.
So it's Proverbs 5, starting at verse 1. And this is, I think, Solomon was being warned, right? Okay. So it says, my son, pay attention to my wisdom. Turn your ear to my words of insight, that you may maintain discretion and your lips may perceive knowledge. For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey. Was she not doing that? Okay. And her speech is smoother than oil. Baby girl was sliding. Okay. Where was I? Okay. But in the end, she is bitter as gall. It's going nowhere. All right. Sharp as a double-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave. She gives no thought to the way of life, clearly, because she's living on the edge. She don't care that he's in a committed relationship, right? Her paths wander aimlessly, but she does not know it. Now, if I was a man, or even as a woman, because there are men that are just like Kai, right? Who want to tempt you. And I think for them, well, for Kai, it's just a game. She wants to see if she can take him, right? She's having fun. You could tell just by her putting the glass up to her mouth. Like, that is how women work. You touch yourself a little bit in just certain places, and it makes a man cringe if you know what you're doing. So for Kai, this was a game. And he fell right for the trap. And the way you know he fell for it is because he wanted to go on a second date. But as a man who knows what he has, and if he was dating with intention, because I feel like he He's just in it for the games, right? Because he feels like he's just going to end up back with Alexa again, or he'll just go with whatever works for him by the end of it. Because again, well, I don't want to say again, I didn't say this here, but he's bored and he's looking for excitement, which is what he said. And so now it's like, where is this going to go for him? What is your intention for doing this? And if he doesn't have any intention, he's going to just fall for everything Kai lays out on the table for him, which he has been doing. And if you are a man or a woman and you know what you have and you know it's a good thing, why mess it up? Why go back? Because he has a choice. And I feel like he made the wrong choice. But let's see how things go. And the other thing about Darian is he plays too much. And I don't think Alexa, is her name Alexa? Am I saying it right? Alexia. Okay, Alexia doesn't put her foot down. That's why he went so far as to describe Kai body parts and everything, because it was disrespectful. He didn't have to say that. There's a way to explain how not necessarily how someone looks, but based on what you're saying, what you want from your partner. Clearly, he's crying out for her to give him that excitement again, because he literally said, being on a date with Kai reminded me of going out with Alexia when we first started dating. And clearly they're content with where they are, or complacent, because nothing has changed. And if he doesn't know what marriage is, that's marriage. So he needs to grow up and he needs to man up and understand that he is in marriage, whether they have the ring or not, because that's how marriage is going to be. I haven't been married, but I've watched plenty of people who have been in great relationships, have been married for over 40 years. And the excitement is not going to be there at every single second. So.
Good points, Brittany. Rachel, you want to go? Oh, wait, I've muted you.
Okay.
Go for it.
You know, I think Darian is that his name? Darian? I think he's really struggling. When you come from the celebrity community, the celebrity environment, and you haven't had a hit, they say in the industry that you're as good as your latest hit. So he hasn't had anything, I think he said, until since 2009. That was like his year that he kept going back to about all the great things he had done. I think Alexia for him is probably the best thing that's ever happened to him. But when you're in the celebrity community, you're always thinking maybe you can one up or you can get, the next big, great thing. But based on the little bit that I saw of Alexia, she's not perfect, like none of us are perfect, but she seemed steady. She seemed rooted. I think, isn't she an ex-basketball player too? So she's disciplined. She understands, and I think that's what he respects about her and he likes about her. But I think in his truest self, which is where his ego comes in. And when I say his ego, I don't mean his ego in that he's haughty or in that he is, he thinks he's arrogant. No, I think in his ego, he feels less than. He feels a victim. I'm not sure what his experiences were or what his upbringing was or, but he feels less than and he's really struggling. And I don't think that he really wants to stay in that relationship with Alexia. I think in his brain, he's settling for her because he knows that she's amazing. It's not strange. He thinks he's settling for her, even though he knows she's amazing, because he's probably thinking that he can get an amazing girl like her, but give him all the that he wants from back in the 2009 celebrity days. So Darian, I know a lot of guys like Darian, they live that old dream. They're trying to go back to that success. Fame is addictive. Fame can kill you, break you, make you. It can make you do a whole bunch of things. So if he's smart, he'll really realize what he has, which I think he does, but this is a show, what he has, and he'll really make. I agree with you guys. That was really disrespectful, the way he handled it with his girlfriend, the way he spoke to her when he was like, yeah, she's this, she's that. It's rude. So I think he wants a way out in a way, but he's too scared to do it because his ego is getting in the way of victimization. I don't know if that makes sense. I know I say that every time. Does that make sense?
No, it made sense. It made sense. It made sense. I appreciate the point. You know what? It's really interesting. I'll get Sean on as well. You know, it's so interesting because I think watching him, the Kai situation, I already knew it was gonna be long. Like the way Kai came in, if you don't shut Kai down, you're gonna die. It's just that simple. Okay, like you're not gonna get away with it. Yeah, because this girl was laying it on thick. I'm talking about like thick, like I don't know. I can't even give an analogy for thick. It's just thick. Okay, it was thick. She laying on the cream. Like it was heavy. Right? And she even dropping bars like, if I kissed you right now, how would you? Listen, when you hear the devil speaking, not her personally being a devil, but when you hear the devil speaking, you gotta rebuke it. You gotta tell the person, no, thank you, sir. Okay, I come in the name of Jesus. I'm not about this life, because she was laying it on thick. Like it wasn't. She didn't even give him a chance to lie. And I've always said this. Everybody likes to lie to themselves. This is how normally people fall into little relationships where they cheat, right? They lie to themselves. It's like, oh, we're just friends. We're just talking. You know, we stay late behind work and we got to know each other. This girl gave him no room to lie to himself. And I think someone put it in the comment section. It gave us a better perspective in terms of, like you were saying, Rachel, that his mindset where it's at, right? And that it's so difficult coming from a perspective where you have access to women so easily because of maybe potentially where you've been involved in fame and you know you've had women come and thrown themselves at you, and then you get to this place where now that's no longer there, so the women are not just coming openly as they were. You're gonna have to put a bit more work into it, and then this girl Kai comes along, who's if you want to put it in quote unquote a baddie, comes along, right, who represents exactly what you were used to, because that's what she was representing. These girls who you probably potentially had in the past, who had that kind of body, whatever, the looks and everything like that, and now you're kind of reliving your years as you're seeing her a little bit, and you're thinking to yourself, it's the trade-off. It's like the grass seems a little bit greener over there, and I think I actually have hope for Alexia and Darian, because he hasn't done anything just yet. There's still hope. He hasn't done anything just yet. I think what they need is some good coaching, to spice things back up again, right? If he's willing to go the length, if he's willing to go it, I think there is hope. If he's willing to work and help with the process of spicing things up again. My only concern is on or off, irrespective of it's been on off for 14 years, so you haven't married her. Right? And he's got this fear that goes along with that. But you haven't done this. You haven't done this yet, and this is going to continue. And the longer it goes on, it's not even like we can say, do you know what? Continue, because you know what? Maybe you don't believe in marriage. All right, continue then. What's the beef? He's even now saying he's now almost like he's bored in a relationship, like he's not having fun. So now it's off the table. Just saying, don't even get married anymore, because it's not even about that anymore. He's starting to lose interest in the relationship as well. So. Yeah, I think I have hope for them. If Dr. Nicole can get into them early, I have hope for them. Maybe they will say, maybe they'll be able to be saved in that respect. Sean, jump in for me. We're talking about Darian. We're talking about the situation with him. We'll come on to Alexia in a second. But what was your thoughts on that situation? Kai, him coming back, saying booty and breast and all this nonsense.
So what I saw about him is that he liked to toe the line. Right. So he liked to kind of crack that door open a little bit, peek in, see what it's like. But he didn't want to fully open it. But he wanted to test those waters. Right. Because, he gave her that compliment. Right. You look like a trophy celebrity wife. Right. So that just kind of cracked that door. But she said, nah, we ain't cracking no doors. We open them wide open. What do you feel about a kiss? Right. So once she put that out there, it's like he kind of backed up and she switched the roles on him. So, I hate following up that scripture, Brittany just shared, right? But I think that's that temptation, right? That power that women have over us as men, right? They can pull us and lead us, down a great path in some instances, and in others, they could take us off to the side if we don't have a plan. So he doesn't have a plan, right? So the other piece about him coming back and telling her, that's a passive aggressive move, right? Because I know some couples are playful, right? And in my past, I might have, seen a young lady and, just kind of say, hey, babe, you saw that, right? And then we both move on, but that's a mutual. We understand that, right? And in relationships where the woman is like, nah, I'm good, don't do that. I know. And you could see Alexia, she was having no parts of that. For her, that was disrespect. So he was trying to just whittle away at her even thinking like, yeah, you're going to know exactly what I'm going to do. He wanted her to have a level of uncertainty about how he was moving, and for her not to be able to guess his next moves. And then now that becomes a power play, right? So I'm the man, I'm the celebrity, however aged I am in my celebrity, or current I am in my celebrity. This is who I am. I can pull her. This is what your competition is. So I'm putting you on notice. That's what I felt between that interaction. And just lastly, I think that when you heard him talk about why he didn't want to get married, and he said, I've seen so many couples that get married and then things change. Listen, I'm a proponent of being straightforward. If you want to be married and tell your partner. If you don't want a marriage and you feel like you can do this coupleship or this modern version of what, we're in relationships and we're living together, playing house, whatever you want to call it, then just be honest. Don't string somebody along. But he's out there making blanket excuses like, I don't want things to change. Bro, you guys have been off and on for 14 years. You done seen all the change. You've been with her since she's 20. Now she's 34. So you've seen her from young woman to grown woman, different stages of her career. Same for you. What is it? Don't leave her hanging out there. She's young enough to be able to move on and have a new relationship and be married if that's what she wants. But he wants to hold and dangle that string, And I think that's part of his personality and his traits. I see that he just wants to dangle that string and, just keep her at bay and keep his options open.
Love that point, man. Love that point. It's interesting. I think this is where these kind of conversations we're having are so important, I think, because people who are watching this may feel like they don't have the power, but, Alexia has power here to walk away. Yeah, not power to change him, power to walk away. If it's not serving you, it's been 14 years. If it's not serving you, you have the power to say it's no longer serving me, right? And this 14 years, I know it sounds wild, but there are so many people that are in these situations that decades long that you'd be surprised, right? So if you're watching this and you're seeing this, I'm just gonna tell you straight, sis or man, you have the power to walk away. So most of the ladies, though, you have the power to walk away. Okay, that's what you have the power to do. Okay, you don't have the power to change him. You have the power to walk away. Has anyone not spoken about Darian before I change it to Alexia? Has anyone not spoken about Darian? Everyone's spoken about Darian, right? Cool. All right. Let me ask this question. Let me ask this question about Alexia, though. Okay, so I know obviously Darian's got his particular problems. And yes, it was disrespectful when he did come and say what he said. Okay. But Alexia, I don't know. When I saw that scene, also her first inclination was to say, "What, do you like her?" straight away. Obviously, she knows what he's like, so her first inclination was to say, "What, do you like her?" And I was like, "Okay, sis, did you hear anything he said in that moment? Because that's not what he was saying, right?" But then he went on to that. So I hear that, right? So I'm with her with why she left. It's the first part when he came and sat down, and I noticed his body language when Dr. Nicole was speaking about being able to listen, and he was like, "Yep." So I'm presuming, and I'm gonna ask this question to the thing, that maybe potentially for him in this relationship, Alexia doesn't give him space to listen, in a sense. Like, she doesn't listen to him, or maybe he doesn't feel like he's heard in that relationship. Irrespective of what we saw that little bit after, maybe he feels like he's not being heard in that. I want to ask you guys, do you agree or don't you disagree, and why would you agree or disagree to that statement there in that sense? Brittany, you're looking at me, so go for it.
No, I was just thinking about if she is giving him the space to really be heard, but at the same time, is he communicating it in a way that she can hear it? Because she's hearing it and receiving it is being disrespectful, just based on that one instance. I can't base it on anything else because I don't know how they talk outside of this. This is a different realm for them to even discuss their relationship. And so because this is an experiment, he's a very playful person. He may not know when he's crossed. Well, I don't want to say he doesn't know when he's crossing the line, but he may not know when to stop and consider Alexia's feelings. Now, with Alexia, all I can really say is he has to communicate it in a way that she can pick up on it, because I don't think she picked up on the fact that he's trying to say that he wants more excitement, but it went over her head because he was being disrespectful and pretty much describing what Kai is and what she's not. Because that's how it came off to me. I don't know about any other woman, but for me, I don't care who you are. If you talk to me in that way and think I'm going to sit here and continue to listen, I'm getting up and walking out too, just like Alexia did. Because then I'll look like a dummy for sitting there and just taking how you explained it. I think for her it was just that how, because maybe she did get it. But how he explained it, it could have been done better. And again, like I said, he plays too much. He has to know when to draw the line. And like I said with Eric, he's very much in that childlike mode still of, I'm still where I was. Like, he's still thinking about the past. Baby, you got to come to the present. We not back there no more. You not who you were in Field Mob anymore. Yes, it's a part of your legacy, but what's next? That's the question that needs to be posed for all of the guys actually on the show. They all have that issue in some form or fashion. I mean, Sean hasn't really gotten to that point. He's trying to get there, but what is next? What do you do after, I guess, that big part of your life has came and gone in a way?
Appreciate it, Brittany. Bars, as always. Thank you. Melissa, go for it.
Okay. I feel like I want to go all the way back to the comments that he was making about the date's breast and her physical attributes, and people were like they didn't understand where that came from. But I believe that that's the dynamic of their relationship, because I believe when they were on the ride going somewhere, he did mention something about if the physical appearance of the person is a specific way, then he will react a certain way. So I feel like that's the dynamic of the relationship. She may not have taken it as a joke in that instance because it directly affects her, what he chooses to do with that date. So she didn't take it positively. And I want to say that, with Brittany, I feel like I disagree a little bit, because I feel like the message that he was trying to convey to Alexia via comparing her to Kai, she got the message. It didn't fly over her head. She got it. But I think that she mentions that a good reason why she's not as exciting as she used to be is because of him. Is because I remember she saying something about he doesn't realize that it has a lot to do with him and how he reacts and responds in the relationship. So she's waiting for him to change or to do a certain thing, and he's waiting for her to change and do a certain thing, and they're both at a standstill because they're waiting for each other to do things, but I suppose they're not really understanding that aspect of it. I feel like Alexia is just as bored as Darian is, but I feel like with women, they just don't like to let things go, especially things that have lasted so long. They feel like they've invested so much time into it that at this point, they feel like there's no looking back from there. So for her, I feel like she does not want to leave. She's invested too much, and I feel like he wants to go. He wants to leave. He's given her clues that there's certain things he wants her to do, because he wants that out. And I remember he told Kai, if you kiss me, I'm not going to stop it. Like, This man wants to do something. He wants Kai to do what she's doing. He wants it. He wants that. And it's because he just wants to leave the relationship he's in. He's looking for any type of thing for him to go. And if Kai is going to give him that out, he's going to take it. But is he going to take accountability for his actions? No. But he still wants the opportunity to do that. And that's how I think about their relationship.
Appreciate that, Melissa. Appreciate that. Drew, what's your thoughts on Alexia? And do you think she has the capacity then? This is just a general question around their relationship. Do you feel she has a capacity to be able to listen or hear a hard conversation about their relationship? So let's say like he genuinely wants to see a change, right? And he's saying he wants to see more excitement. Do you feel like she'll be able to receive that from him?
The impression I got from Alexia, I thought she was quite mature in terms of just from how she was able to communicate her grievances. And even when Kai came, is it Kai? Yeah, when Kai came to the door, she was pleasant. I didn't get any jealous vibes or, even though she said it bothered her a bit, she was still very mature about it. So I do believe if Darian comes to her in a manner where she can interpret and absorb the information without being so disrespectful, she could absorb it. But I do see what you are talking about in terms of once he started, before he could even get the sentence out, I did see her say, oh, so what is it? Do you like her? So, but I think that may have been coming from the fact that they've been together on and off for 14 years. And with any relationship that's on and off, that means that lots of people were in and out of that relationship. And so I think that's where that's stemming from. It is a bit of an insecurity, or maybe they've been there, done that. So she already knows how he is. So where I don't agree with what was previously said is that he wants to leave the relationship. I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of wanting to eat and have your cake at the same time, because coming from a celebrity status, I'm sure he would have been used to being able to have all the women that he wants, and at the end of the day he could always do that and come back to her because she's his constant. So she also needs to set some boundaries. I do think she would be open to communicating if he would do it in a more respectful way.
Good points. Appreciate it, Drew. Chris Natha, talk to me.
I do think that Alexia has the capacity to have a difficult conversation. However, I feel like she's at the end of her rope. It feels that way. So I think she's at the place of being fed up, because even the way that she expresses, like, if he doesn't choose marriage, I'm out of here. Like, I really think that this is the last straw for her. I could be wrong, but her mentioning that, hey, I'm 34 years old. I want to be married. I want a family. If you are a woman, 34, listen, we got a time clock. And she gave him her real good 20s and now half of her 30s. So if they're going to make it, they need to know that now. Otherwise, she's going to be trying to conceive in another, 14 years? That's not fair, right? So you have to have these hard conversations with each other and yourself. And if it's not going to work with you too, then you got to go where it's going to work. But I really think she has the capacity. Like Drew said, I believe there's maturity there, but I think that she's just at a place of being fed up, because she's like ready to like almost like jump at him sometimes. And I think it's like she's just ready for what she wants. And so hopefully it works out in her favor.
Good points. Good points there. Rach, you ready to go? I see you tensing up there a little bit. Go for it. Oh, I need to unmute you. Oh, you need to unmute yourself. Sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I just remembered, when I was in my 20s, 20. You're sorry to all you 20-year-olds, but you don't know anything. You don't know anything. 20? Like, you could still be on your parents' insurance at 20. Like, they say that your brain hasn't formed until you're 25. So she got with this dude when she was 20. And then we're expecting her to be like, to walk away and to just leave. She has no idea how to do that. I don't think it's that she chooses to not leave and she's like, oh, I've invested. I don't think that's the case. I think she just does not know how to walk away. I've been in that situation. Well, I don't know how to walk away. I know I'm supposed to walk away. I know the spirit is telling me, hallelujah, walk away, but I don't. I just don't know. I just didn't know how to do it. Now, I think what happens is, especially I feel with Alexia, is she's waiting for Darian to do something. She's waiting because that is what's going to give her the ability to walk away. She doesn't know how. She doesn't know how. She's been able to do for 14 years. Like you guys said, that's a marriage in itself. But she just does not know. So I think it's deeper than that. I think there's more to her roots on that. And I think it's just like, how do I walk away from a dude that I've given my whole life to for the past 14 years? And especially as a pro athlete, you know, you practice, you work for an end result. And I don't think it's that you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's that she's forcing him to, or he has to, or no, she just does not know how to walk away from that. She just does not know how to make it work in her favor. I think that's what it is, but I could be wrong.
Fair point. Fair point. I'm hearing you on that. Essence. Let me unmute you. I keep forgetting I need to unmute you. Oh, you have to unmute yourself, actually. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. I was just listening to the conversation and I'm actually starting to change a little bit of my perspective on Darian and Alexia. I agree that they've been together for a long time. At 20, you are really still young. You're not exposed. You don't have a lot of experience. Not only that, coupled with she was thrust into a very adult profession, going into professional basketball. You need to rise to the occasion, and you're faced with a lot of adult situations. Yeah, she may not really have stepped into her agency knowing that she can leave at any time. It is very telling that she's chosen to stay in this relationship for 14 years. But as far as Alexia having the ability to listen, I can't make that assessment right now. I know it seems like we're really focusing on the men in these relationships, but the men are the ones who went on the date this week. So we have just a lot more material as far as behavior to assess in that regard. But I do know that the way that they communicate, it is a problem. The first indication of that was when I think they were on the couch and then I think she was asking about the date or something, and they were going back and forth, and Darian was quick to say, Kai doesn't do that. She doesn't do that. The door is still open. And it just seemed like it didn't lead up to that. Like, it was like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. That came out of nowhere. He just spat that out without the conversation leading up to something that was just kind of mean, a little bit mean spirited to me. So I do know that the way that he communicates is, it just has a mean streak to him. Another thing that Alexia said was, I think she said something like, I don't think I have anything to worry about. I don't think anyone can take you from me. And then Darian responded, well, they need to try their best. And I was like, is that something that you say to somebody that you've been with for 14 years? You've known this person since they were 20 years old. And there definitely is a communication breakdown somewhere in there. It's going to be interesting to see how they matriculate through this process. But that's my assessment on that so far.
I appreciate that sound. Appreciate that sense. I love that points. Okay. Who wants to go next? Anyone fancy taking a crack? Huh? Anyone else? Sean? Taking a crack? It's good to hear from a man's perspective on this one. Does Alexia need to learn how to listen a bit? Does she need to learn to listen a bit more?
So, I think there's a couple of thoughts I have about Alexia and their relationship dynamic. I get a little bit from her, a little masculine energy just in the way that she moves in their relationship, and you got to see how things played out when, the various dates entered the home, which I thought was bonkers. Like, I could not believe that the person they were going on a date was coming into the house. So I thought that was a wonderful plot twist that just set the chains of so many things to go, in any direction. So I wonder if, next week when the women go out, will the men be entering the home, while the other, while the partners, the men are at home, and how that's going to all play out. I think that's going to be interesting too. But I would just say, like, you could see that she's very guarded. I could see how in their relationship, just by the body language, she probably, shuts him down, and doesn't necessarily listen, right? And whether she should be listening or not, that's up for debate, but at the end of the day, you just see that, and that's something that he wants. And I think that's something in relationships, because, as we look at these different couples, it just kind of points us in the direction of relationships and things that we can see that have played out in different versions, right? You can hear that sometimes, right, in relationships where the man is asking for something of his woman, but for whatever reason, and again, she could be right, she's not seeing it fit to give it to him for whatever reason. But that doesn't somehow get it doesn't get communicated in that way. It just gets shut down. So in certain men versus communicating that, they act out. So that's why I see some of the act out behavior, because I think Alexia, she just is probably so frustrated after everything that has transpired in their relationship, that she just is like, dude, if you're not saying let's get married, then I really don't have patience. I don't want to hear what you're saying. I don't want to hear about your last hit. I don't want to hear about how you think you're the best thing, walking. Where's the ring? It's 14 years. So we've spoken about it. And I think the big thing for her is, you got to make a choice. Don't sit around and let somebody else make your choice. And then you have hell in your relationship. You have toxicity in your relationship because of the choices that you made. And you're choosing to stay in that. Right. So if you can see the future, and you've seen the past, it's like, what's going to happen. You get that gut instinct, right? You hear women, like, you guys have that female intuition is strong. It. Something else takes over. Those emotions, those feelings take over. But we got to remember, feelings aren't facts, right? That is just like, it's a cliche, but it's true. And you got to look at the facts, look at the past, look at the history, look at the person's actions, look at Darian's actions. Is he showing you somebody that's ready to get married, that he wants to marry you? Or he just wants to have his cake and eat it too? If you two can get on the same page, great. But Alexia has to own her choice. Stay in who she is, because it doesn't seem like she's happy in however this relationship role dynamic is playing out. She doesn't seem happy because she's not in her true natural happy state. She's trying to do little things to preserve that. You can play that game, right? We're going to go back. Let's go back and recreate the things of our past. Let's go on a vacation. Let's do all those things we used to do. Let's go bowling. Let's go here. Let's go there. Let's have all this fun. But if the substance of the relationship is not there, that longevity in the marriage is not going to happen. You can have all the fun, the vacations. Those are great. But the marriage, the work of marriage, the stick-to-itiveness of marriage is the work, and they're not spending any time on that. And she's not holding him accountable to it. And she's staying and allowing whatever happens to happen. That's my thought.
Appreciate it. Sound thoughts there as well, Sean. Please, Doc, you haven't spoken on Alexia and the question. Do you feel like she's able to listen or ready to listen to Darian?
So based off everything that's been presented, I feel like she may have in the past been listening to him, but now she's at that crossroads where she's not. Reason being is because one of the things that he did say about Alexia was he said that she treats him like a king and she always has his back. So if someone always has your back, they're always there, treating you like a king. They're attentive. They're listening. They're there. But if you notice somewhere along the lines of the show, she gives them an ultimatum. So she was like, either we're gonna get married or we're not. That's the point where she's like, I'm tired of this. I'm fed up. Either you with it or you not. And I can say, being a Georgia girl, Georgia ladies, it's like, all right, it's only so much we gonna deal and put up with it. We gonna do our part, but you got to give us something in return once we put in our work and our hard work. And then you have to think about too, she's a basketball player. So we just think about being a basketball player, competition. You're not just playing basketball to get a decent record. You're going to be playing ball because ball is life. You trying to get that good record, get Final Four. We trying to win it, take it all, go hard or go home. So even though she's not playing basketball in this sense, it's just thinking about being a ball player. I'm trying to get the ring. The same way LeBron James tried to get his ring, she trying to get her ring, just in a relationship. So she's really at that crossroads with him. Like, I believe she might leave him if he don't get his act together, but hopefully he gets his act together, because anytime Dr. Nicole, asks questions or anything like that, her response is very straight face. Like, she ain't laughing, she ain't giggly, she's real straight face with her answers. Like, either he gonna give me a ring or he not. Which one is gonna be? And once you get a black woman or get a woman in that space, you in trouble, sir. So you better figure out what you gonna do, because she liable to pack her bags in the middle of the night while you sleep, and she'll go out the door. So that's just how I see it.
Solid. I appreciate it. Good points. Yeah, you guys are making some really solid points about Darian and Alexia, and Essence kind of put it correctly. I mean, we'll see more in the coming kind of weeks as well, in terms of when the ladies go on their dates, and see a bit more about Alexia as well. I think obviously with Darian and Alexia, what was really interesting is the fact that and I think someone really pointed out that he did mention about her being this wifey type. She's held him down. She's a king. What I'm saying? Like, he said some really grand things. And I'm trying to remember what she said about him. She said he's a good time. He's got great energy, etc., etc. But I cannot, for the life of me, remember what else she said about him. And I'm trying to think in my notes. I'm just trying to go over my notes to see, because I was like, hold on a minute, sis, is that all we're seeing in him? He's this great energy, you know what I mean? Like this, and I'm not saying that she has to match his energy. By the way, I'm saying, is that all you're seeing? And if that is all you're seeing, is that enough? I'm trying to remember. She said, yeah, energy's boom, never a dull moment. And then it went to him saying he treats me like she treats me like a king. So I'm wondering if there is enough even there for her. And again, like we've been saying earlier on, maybe there is this glorification of marriage, and that being a stamp of approval of your position in life. I've made it, I've qualified, I've achieved, you know what I mean? I've hit another target or another milestone in one's life, right? Because we get conditioned, especially women specifically, get conditioned about their worth being attached to marriage from a very young age, right? Like, mate, if you're a man, you can go and spread your seed all around. And we might say one or two things, but in the end, you'll be like, well, you've got your legacy, haven't you? You've got children, mate, haven't you? Yeah, you'll be fine, right? We don't have, and that's the double standard we're talking about, which is life, right? But I definitely feel like there wasn't much for these two. I think going forward, I'm really interested to see how they communicate, because I think he's got communication problems. I personally think he's got communication problems, simply from that little thing where she said about, do you know how to communicate your emotions? And he went straight to, I kissed my girlfriend the first week. Now, that might have been editing, but I was like, bro, that is not an example of you being able to express how you feel. And then you come home and you express what you're expressing, and I have to wade through the water of what you've said to try and figure out in the whole mess that you actually meant to say to me, actually, this is what I want in my relationship. Nah, bruh, you've already done killed your relationship. If you go down that way, you're gonna end up killing, your relationship going forward. So I just think to myself that, I think what needs to be worked on maybe for them in the next few weeks is communication, okay, especially from his end. If you feel you've got some problems that you feel like Alexia can learn and grow from, then please, by all means, communicate it in a way that she's going to be able to receive it. Because telling someone breast and bumper, and then the fact that they they suddenly now remind you of your girl, is not a way to communicate at all. Okay, that's going to end your relationship quicker than it's ever begun. But 14 years is a very long time, on and off, irrespective. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the last couple, and we're on our final leg of the show. Guys, if you are here for the first time, please do like, share, subscribe to this channel. This is the great content we're putting out here, and I'm working with some really great people on this show as well. As you can see, listen, the content here is mad because the people that are speaking with wisdom. You feel me? Yeah, that's how we roll. All right, cool. So, listen, we have obviously Laronda and Sean. I think this is really interesting because I think a lot of my thoughts are more reading into it. So I can't wait for the next few weeks to kind of see a bit more evidence in terms of what's really underneath the surface of the relationship. But I guess a question I can ask about Laronda and Sean is the financial issues. Is it a good enough reason as to why we are not getting married? Is a financial issue not a good enough reason as to why we're not getting married? I'm gonna go straight to Sean because normally I'll go to you last, bro. So I'm gonna hit you up first. Sean, is it a good enough reason to get married or not to not get married in that sense?
So, just getting a chance to watch them was interesting, right? And when they showed that snippet of him at home, and he was running around cooking and playing Molly the maid and, doing all this stuff running around the house. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of threw me off. And again, it's just such a significant imbalance in the relationship, and again, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be shot down. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with catering for your woman. I love to cook. I love to cook, so I have no qualms about cooking for my woman, right? No qualms. I'll do it all day. But just the nature of things. And then when you add to it that he's got this fledgling entertainment career, which doesn't seem to have launched, and then she's a professional. She's bringing home the bacon and he's cooking it, right? Like, it's kind of hard to hold your frame and have that relationship work well with things so oft. And you just see she just looks at him like a little puppy dog, all right, get my stuff, cook this for me, make me feel good all day long. But he's still not committing to marriage, right? So I kind of think they got some kind of arrangement, and you see this in couples and it plays out, and I get it. Sometimes it works where, the woman might have a job and she's working while he's trying to figure out this entertainment, realm. And she's like, all right, look, you got to give this, you got to get this stuff together though, because at this point they're not married. They're in a house, and God forbid something happens to him, or God forbid something happens to her. How's he going to sustain himself? How is she going to sustain herself? Right? She'll be fine because she's working, but the idea of her partner not being there, and there's no permanency to that. So I just think like they need to, this is probably their come to Jesus moment. That's what this show is going to be for them. Like, look, I see your career is all over the place. I don't really think she cares. I think she's like, just marry me and we'll figure out the rest. Now, if that's right or wrong, I not for me, doesn't work for me. But if it works for them, fine. They're on the show because clearly they want to be married. But I would have to say that they got to get their house in order and really get things lined up in order to have a successful relationship moving forward. Because the way it's going, it's going to explode down the line. Because let's say his career blows up and she's still used to all of this catering and all of this love, 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 and now the attention is getting shifted to him. She's gonna slow the reins and spin out of control. Because you see what happened, you know, and I'll wrap up with this. You see what happened when the date came. She went and embraced the date. She gave the date a hug too. Now, again, just going off of the optics and what I see, it looks a little like Michael and Che and a little like some open action going on to me. Looks like we can open this up. Let me hug her up. She looks, she's sizing her up too. You know, bring her on in. But the problem is when you're looking for one thing and you got both feet in the sand, you got both feet on one side, either side of the sand, you're setting yourself up for destruction because you're all over the place. So that's what I think about them. And I hope it works. They seem like a nice couple together, but I think they need to really do some foundational work together.
Definitely hearing you now, Sean. Do you know what? It's interesting because obviously, you know, when we talk about these stuff, it feels like we're talking all about Ready to Love all over again. But it's interesting because we're talking about this, these roles. So he actually wants to become a provider, right? And this is where I think the tension is going to really come from, because he wants to do this. The trouble is, whilst he's in this relationship, it's pressure, right? Because now she's got pressure. She wants time constraints, which I think is fair. She's like, well, we can figure this out as we go along. But he's like, nah, because it might take a little bit longer than you actually thinking it will take longer. And he's probably trying to see the future ahead of time. But now he's in a situation, this relationship. And I feel like they're at the head. They've got a choice to make. Either we go forward and we marry, or we break up, right? But when you're a male who wants to do the provisional role, yeah, I'm going to be very honest with you. He's never going to be happy until he does this, and he probably will end up ruining his relationship for it, right? Because the nature of the kind of guy that he is, it's going to cause so much tension in the relationship because he's never going to feel value of himself until he gets that position. So there will always be fights of insecurity in that relationship because I'm trying to wrestle to try and show you that I'm of a value. So that's what you're talking about, Sean, about him. Because when I was like, bro, I got no problem with you serving your woman. I got no problem with you cooking and cleaning. But the way they shot it, they did it on purpose. They shot it as if he's running after her. You know what I'm saying? Like, babe, give me a... And even when he said, babe, give me a kiss, it was like the wife asking, babe, give me a kiss. And I was like, bro, I'm not... And so it's like the roles have completely flipped, right? So this is almost like the KG Amber situation. But if you like it, I love it, right? But I don't think he's comfortable in that position. So it's going to cause tension in the relationship. So, Mandem, if you're out there and you want to provide and you have that energy, please do not settle into a relationship knowing that you are not comfortable being there, because you're causing issues for you and that woman, and you're going to waste her time, okay? And she's probably going to be sticking with you for years, and then you're going to dump her later on. This is what happens with these men. They go in and dump the woman later on, like, yeah, because you didn't want her in the first place. You were a little bit lonely. Okay, right? During your journey of process of growing into a man that you wanted to come. And that caused a lot of issues in relationships. But anyway, let me get the ladies involved as well. Sean, good points in there as well. Appreciate your honesty as well there. Brittany, you're looking at me again, so go for it. You was there waving your hand doing this, so go for it. Oh, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Sorry. So that whole dynamic that they have going on, where you said like the roles look like they're completely flipped, it does look like that. And I kind of figured that, yes, the relationship is going to come to a head because what's her name? Laronda, right? Laronda, I don't think she sees that she's enabling him. And with men, if they want to be a provider, I feel like they need to be on their own. He's not going to get there until she lets him go because she's taking care of him. They're living together, right? Okay, so if they're living together, she's taking care of him because she's taking on the brunt of the bills. So him being in entertainment, that takes time, yes, but we live in a different day. He can absolutely be where he wants to be at this point, but because Laronda is there as a safety net. If something goes wrong, let's just say if he had an audition and it flopped, she's there to be like, oh, baby, it's okay. Try next time. No, he needs to fall flat on his face and figure out how to climb back up on his own. I mean, even for women, like, we do it all the time. Nobody helps us. Like, we're bred that way. We're bred to succeed and then take care of other people at the same time. And then we forget about ourselves, right? So then Laronda is doing the same with him. She's helping him and taking care of him, even though she's already set. So for him, in order to become the provider he needs to be, she can't be that safety net for him anymore. Or it's going to come to a head because let's just say when she's ready to have kids, or if a baby is brought into the picture, she's not going to want to work as hard as she's doing right now. She's going to want to sit down, stay home, take care of her kids. I know I would. I want to be able to have the choice when I'm married, or I don't want to say if I have a partner, but some people's situations are that way. If I'm in a partnership with someone, I want to be able to have the choice to let go of my job for a little bit, stay home and take care of the kids and raise them while you go to work. But he doesn't have any stability going on right now. So when is that going to come into the picture? When Laronda makes him do it. But the problem is she shouldn't have to make him do it. She's not his mother. She's not his father. So she should not be here to teach him how to do that. That's something at this point he needs to learn how to do on his own. But I mean, I think Dr. Nicole is really going to open her eyes at some point, because that's a hidden issue that they have. And if she doesn't see it now, she's going to see it soon, because it's not going to work. It's just not.
Appreciate that, Brittany. Appreciate it. Melissa?
Okay, so did you have a specific question? If so, can you repeat it?
Yeah. We're talking about him being a provider. Okay. So is it a good reason as to not be married?
For me personally, when I saw that, I felt like he had a valid reason. I mean, if he feels like he's not where he needs to be, and society puts too much pressure on men to be providers. If he feels like he's not where he needs to be or not fulfilling society's standards, I don't blame or fault him for not wanting to take the next step. And her saying that it's an excuse on his part, I feel like it's because for a lot of women, we are taught if men don't marry us in a certain time span or in a certain space of time, it means that you're not interested. They don't take into account financial reasons and other types of reasons like that. So I feel like they're coming from totally different spaces as far as that is concerned. But I agree with him. I understand that. To me, that's very logical and very rational. Now, I do believe that the roles have clearly reversed in that relationship. I feel like she likes that. She wants that to, I don't know. I feel like she might even want it to stay that way because she has the control and she's used to that control. And I feel like she likes exercising that control. And that is one thing that Dr. Nicole saw from her. She saw that Laronda likes to exercise that control and, threaten him a little bit. And so I feel like she likes the dynamic, but I don't think he's comfortable with it. He looks like a little timid boy to me that needs to be told what to do, wash the dishes, clean the house, do the chores. That's how I see the dynamic being. And I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this, but as far as the date was concerned, and he was saying, "Oh, she's too perfect," and stuff like that, I interpreted it as he is afraid of losing control. He is afraid of what he will do if he continues to see this seemingly perfect person. It might be that he feels like he might be sabotaging his current situation, which might be comfortable for him, or he might feel like he might hurt this Laronda and he's afraid of doing that. And when he mentions the thing about he doesn't want to be like his dad, it makes me feel like his father was potentially a rolling stone, and that is something he doesn't want to emulate. So I feel like he's operating on fear of what he might do and fear that he might turn into his father, because I feel like a small part of him feels like he is his dad, and it's a matter of time before he does what his dad did. So he kind of wants to stop himself from doing that. But I feel like it's inevitable. Like, if it's not with this particular date, it's going to be with another date. It's gonna be a point where he slips up, and I don't think he wants that to happen. And that is precisely why he called the no rules thing a setup. He feels like he's gonna be overly friendly. He feels like he's gonna be too open. He doesn't want to open himself up to the potential of another relationship because he's scared, that he's gonna be addicted to the newness and be a rolling stone like his dad. So that's my point of view from that.
Hearing that strong, appreciate. Chris Arthur, hit it for me, and I'll go stock.
Well, at first look, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this couple is so amazing. They look so happy. Why are they even on this show, right? I was like, they're so awesome. Like, I'm sure their issues are small. Whatever it is, they'll get over it, because I see them going far because they both seem like they're so into each other. And then, of course, we start getting a better understanding of why he's hesitant to be married, because he's saying she's everything I've ever wanted. She's saying he's everything I've ever wanted. So I was like, what's the problem? But then when he revealed that there's a financial issue going on, I respect that, because I know that most men, I can't say all, but most men will not be comfortable to move forward until they feel secure in their money, because they know how important that is in a relationship and a marriage. So I respect that. I don't see an issue with that. But my thing is, they've been together 3 years. So I'm wondering if he's been trying to figure it out for the last 3 years. It seems that way. But like you all said, Laronda is making sure that they're secure. But I just feel like as a woman, that most of us would like some sense of security. I know there's a level of control there. She gets to be in charge, and maybe that's important to her. But I know for me, I would really want some security, not about how much you make, but it's, if something happens, can I lean on you? Right. And so that's the part right there that I think that she shouldn't push him to marry her if he's uncomfortable. She shouldn't push him. I think that she'll continue to push him. I also think that if he ends up marrying her when he's not ready, because there's pressure, right? That word again, that he will resent her for it. And I think that she will end up resenting him too. Because like Brittany said, after you have a baby and life changes, you want to relax a little bit. But if money is a factor, you can't. You simply can't. And so I really like that they showed his sensitive side. I just hope that as the show goes on, they don't make it seem as though he only operates or mostly operates in like more feminine energy, because then I don't know, I want him to win. I think he's a nice guy. So I want him to win, but he's going to have to figure it out. If you want a family, you may have to put your dreams to the side for a second and go to the 9-to-5, get secure, right? Because with a family, you need that. So hopefully it works out for them, but I really need him to get secure in his money. But it looks like Laronda really likes running the show as well. So
appreciate it, Chris Arthur. I think he needs to marry his level if he's going to marry. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not trying to beef anybody. This is really genuine thoughts. Marry your level, right? Because it's not the money. It's not the money totally, but it is the money. It's also the mindset that comes with it as well, right? Like, because what I see from him, he wants to be in a relationship. He loves love, right? He loves love, but the problem here is that you're in a relationship with somebody who you're feeling like you want to provide for and you can't do it. It's you're causing yourself pain. I actually really want to start pushing men to take time out. And if you're somebody who wants to be that provider role, just take the time out. Don't be dating and just chill. I'm just deadly serious. And this has come from somebody who loves love. So I'm just telling you, I'm telling you from experience, okay? Yeah, I love love, okay? I love the relationship. I love women. I love it all, okay? But when I finally got the revelation and it clicked in my head, because I always wanted to be the provider, but I just didn't have the means at the time. And when it finally came about, I realized, yo, man can't even do relationship right now. But so what was happening is that I'm filling relationship up because I don't have the calling yet. I don't have the thing that I needed to do. So I started filling it up with relationship. And which is what I'm saying, if that's what you're gonna do, then you have to marry your level. Yeah? So that you don't hurt yourself and you don't hurt other people, right? Because he's not comfortable being in that more feminine role. So this is not against people who do the feminine role. I'm saying if that works for your relationship and you are comfortable and she's comfortable, then you do your thing. But for a lot of us men, we're not comfortable. We want to provide. We want to be able to be that kind of man. Then take some time out, because this is not the 1900s anymore where your wife don't work and you just have to go and get a factory job. You now need to work. And that means you have to work a little bit harder. So I'm not beefing any man. I'm telling you something that I was doing, which was a problem. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to do that. And I know the arguments I had. And I was dating someone for like 2 years. And we had a conversation about, where's this money coming from for the marriage? I was asking myself, where's the money coming from? I don't earn enough to make this marriage work thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it honestly, man, them, if you're hearing this out and you want to be a provider, which I know a lot of you are, just take the time. Don't fill yourself up with relationships. Go and do the work. All right. That's one thing I agree with red pill people. That's the only thing I agree with them with. That's the only thing. All right, cool. Doc, talk to me nicely. Doc, what are you saying, man? Is it okay? Is money a reason as to why you're not getting married? I mean, is it a good reason as to why you're not getting married?
So, just thinking about how men, are, a lot of men would like to be providers. And if you ask women, what type of man do they want, they'll probably say provider, protect, and increase. So, it's
wait,
important
Doc,
for men to have
the
strong
thing's
finances.
doing it spiritual realms again. Doc, the spiritual realms again.
See?
They're coming for you again, sis.
Listen, they coming for me again. That's okay, because God got it. Okay.
He got it.
See, they don't want me to tell the truth out here.
They don't. But you dark, so you're gonna tell the truth, sis.
I'm gonna tell the truth. Like I was saying, men, they want to be the provider. Did it go out on me?
It went again. Try one last time. Come again, Doc.
If it go out again, I'm gonna type it in the chat and just somebody read it for me. That's how we're gonna do that, because they coming against me. Men want to be the provider. And if you ask a woman, I'm going to write it in the chat.
No problems, Doc. No problems. I'll read it out for you when it's done. Rach, talk to me, man. Is it a good enough reason?
Kojo, I'm with you 100% on this. I'm sorry. I have a scripture verse. Was it Miss Brittany who had a scripture verse?
Go for it.
Was it Miss Brittany with the scripture verse? And let me tell you something. I don't even do scripture verses, but I grew up in a very religious background, so I remember this scripture verse, and my father used to say it all the time. 1 Timothy 5:8. Oh, but if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel, than an unbeliever. I'm sorry, guys. Really? Get a job. Don't be in a relationship. Get a job. Work on your financial stability. Work on your financial security. Work on your financial health before you get into a relationship. How are you getting into a relationship and you don't have a job? And how do you say you're an artist and you don't have a job? If you're not making money from your artistry, get a job. But guess what? Homegirl allows this. Homegirl enables this. Homegirl is okay with this. And like the other lady brilliantly said, it allows her to keep control of this dude. Kojo, did you see that part where he kissed her? And he was like, kiss me, I want to feel it. Yep. I want to feel it. I was like, ooh, what does that mean? I want to feel it. What, her kiss wasn't feeling enough? Like, The poor guy. I'm sorry, guys. Out of all the couples, these two irked me the most. I know you guys love this couple, but these two how you don't have a job? We in 2021. You don't have a job. And then you using it as an excuse to not want to get married. And homegirl is oh Lord, these two bothered me. I don't know why. I was like, God forgive me. I'm being judgmental. I barely know these two. But something about that is bothersome. Get a job. Do your artistry on the side. We all have been there and done it. I'm an artist. I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jobs. You cannot get into a relationship without financial stability, emotional stability, spiritual stability, mental stability, cognitive. I mean, the list goes on. But we all love to get into these relationships and then we're stuck. Okay, my rant's over. Sorry.
I'm hearing you.
I'm with you on this, Kodra. I'm with you on this.
I'm hearing you. I surrender. Essence. Talk to me, Essence. Talk to me. Let me unmute you first, though.
Okay.
Go for it.
I don't even know what to say. Like, you just went so hard. I don't even know what to say. Oh, man. Okay. I don't know if he doesn't have a job or not. I don't know if Sean has a job or not. I do know that his focus is on his artistry. Being a comedian is difficult to get into that profession. I mean, we hear comedians talk about that all the time, about the grind that you have to have. So they've been together for 2 years now. I do believe that it is a valid reason to wait to get married until you feel you're at a financial spot to be married. The issue with this is that, as Rachel said, the ball really is in her court. What's her name? Is it Laronda? It's in Laronda's court whether she wants to stay or not. So I'm questioning what was his financial situation when they first got together. I mean, she knew that these were his aspirations. He wants to be a comedian. It's very hard to get into just to get into that profession. My question is he grinding though? Is he going to open mics? Is he marketing himself? Is he auditioning? Is he getting up every day? I mean, if he wants to be a comedian, watching him, I mean, he doesn't need to be in the kitchen cooking for her right now. He needs to be out there grinding. So that's my question. And I almost wonder if hearing the way that he speaks about her, I almost wonder if even being on this show has anything to do with his aspirations of wanting to be in the entertainment industry. Honestly, because if she's so perfect and this is where you want to be, I almost wonder what are his intentions and what does he expect out of this experiment? Because even when he went on his date, he said he didn't want to go on a second date because the young lady was too perfect. So it's like, what really are your expectations and what are your intentions about this experiment? Because you're saying you want to get married to your girlfriend, you're just not there financially. So I'm not understanding how you're going to get there financially by dating other women. You can't afford to date other women right now. You need to be on your grind. So, I mean, I'm thinking about that. Other than that, when LaRonda said something about actions have consequences, she's absolutely right about that. But I also thought, well, the very decision to participate in this experiment, to be on the show, it could very well have consequences to your relationship. You're allowing each other to go on dates, to meet other people. You're exposing yourself to this type of energy. It could have a consequence, and that's something that she needs to think about as well. So that's really all I have for Laronda and Sean.
I'm hearing you on that. Good points. Doc, do you want to read it out, yeah? So I read it out now, yeah? Yeah? You sure you want to try one more time? Try one more time. Let's see. Maybe the Lord will come through for us on this point. Try one more time, sis. Be brave. Be bold. Have faith. Try one more time, sis.
Okay. I'll try again, see where we go with this. So basically what I was saying was women are known to be prepared for marriage. You know, we go through a whole Queen Esther process, a Proverbs 31 process. We're taught those things even in the house of the Lord. But if you look at men, they're not really taught on how to be a man, how to gain generational wealth, how to be prosperous in whatever they're doing. In regards to his career path, well, we are in a digital age. So he could have connected with comedians like Kevin on Stage or All Def Digital, those comedians that are now online. You could have TikToks, you could do master classes. He can even teach at a college, you know, for those that are aspiring actors or actresses and those different things, and really network. So there isn't really a reason why he's not using his gifts and his talents to make the wealth that he needs to have. And if you've been in this relationship for 3-4 years, okay, what are you doing? Are you just relying on the woman to do everything for you? Or really, what is the excuse? And there really should be no excuse for whether it's a man or a woman. I mean, go out here, make things shake and bake, do what you have to do so you can have the money that you need. But if you're just saying, oh, you know, I'm not financially stable, that's not, you know, I don't want to be married, you got to figure it out. Have a solution to your problem. Don't just continue to have excuses. Excuses are tools for the incompetent. So get rid of the excuses and do what you are supposed to do. Now, I'm not trying to come against him in any way because I don't know what his situation was prior to, you know, him meeting her. He could have been at the top of his career, could have been making money, but, you know, finances is a situation, is an issue. Figure it out, sort it out, make it work.
Go for Rich. Go for Rich. You want to go? Oh, wait, you're silent. You're silent. Go for it. Unmute yourself.
I just want to make it clear that I'm not saying, you know, I am saying get a job, but it's more than just get a job. I'm Jamaican. In Jamaica, we have 3 jobs. So if one job is not enough and you don't feel like that job is going to give you the financial stability that you need to be in a marriage, get another job. That's all I'm saying. So when I say get a job, I mean get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, as many jobs as you need to get so that you are financially stable and able to be in a relationship. Now that's relative, like you're saying, Kojo. Maybe he needs to be with someone more on his level. So financial stability is relative. Who knows? Maybe she's a millionaire and he doesn't feel like he can be up to her level, but I don't think that's the case. Based on what we've seen thus far, it seems like he just doesn't feel like he's financially stable enough. So they get financially stable. Do you see what I mean? So that's what I meant when I said get a job. I just want to clarify that.
Hey, Brittany, go for it.
Just to reiterate what Essence was saying, because I did make the same point earlier about his grind. Well, not on here, but when we were all talking, that, you know, as an artist or an actor or comedian or singer, whatever, in entertainment, I do the same thing, right? So if you're going to do that, you have the opportunity now to grind as hard as you want. Why? Because we have social media. You don't have to worry or wait on a big machine to be behind you. If you know how to leverage your target audience and the people that are following you and you put out great content, oh, the money can come in. There's no excuse. But the problem lies in with him being with Laronda and them living together. That safety net is there for him. I'll use myself as an example. I live with my mother. I've been wanting to work on my career for a long time, but I've been trying to find a way to do it, you know, on my own, which I can, but I would be there much quicker if I was on my own, right? Now, I've switched gears a little bit, but if you really want to make something happen, you can happen. If he really want to be a provider, he can do that. There's plenty of, and this is nothing against him, but there's a lot of younger men that are out here making it happen much quicker because they want it that bad. So that's the question. How bad do you want to be a provider? How bad do you want your career in entertainment? You don't, and I feel like he's waiting on these big production companies to come and find him. No, they want people already made. Give them a package that they can work with because that's what they want. I work in it too. I don't just go on to auditions. I work in the back too, like and behind the scenes. So if you really want to do this, there's a way to get it done. I mean, YouTube University, come on. There's plenty of ways to connect with people. I think Christina was saying it. Go in these people DMs, put yourself out there. You would be surprised at how many people are open to working with newer talent that doesn't necessarily have a platform yet, because people want to put people on. So now this is the time to do it. So it's either, do you really want it or do you not? And I think because subconsciously he has that safety net, which is Laronda, right? He can sit back a little bit when something is wrong and not go as hard as he needs to. But I don't think he really wants to be a provider as much as he says he does. Because if he did, if he would really pull himself out of the situation and work on himself. But I'm not in his mind. I don't know how it's going to work. It's somebody has to come to a decision of pulling himself out of that situation, or she needs to pull herself out. Because at the end of the day, I feel like it's going to be her that pulls herself out if it comes to a point where she is tired. Because at the end of the day, that femininity is going to kick in. That's just how we're made and we're wired. Period. And I think people miss that dynamic of a marriage. Like that femininity and masculinity, they balance each other out. But right now it's very unbalanced. And it's going to come to a head.
I'm hearing you 100% on this. You know what? It's interesting. I think because it's probably something that I've experienced, it's a bit more close to me. So you know what? Like I think with, you know, Sean and Laronda, you know, it's difficult to be hungry when you're not hungry, and he's not going to be hungry. And okay, let me make this very clear. Let's say, because we don't know all the facts right now, it's episode 1. So I'm gonna make it as if this is the angle we're going for. So this is an angle we are talking about. It may not be the actual truth. This is an angle we're going for. So he's potentially is not going to be hungry enough because his mouth is being fed. Now, when you're in survival mode and everything depends on you making that last sale, whatever, the hunger is different, right? Because the motivation is, I don't work, I don't eat. I don't sell, I don't eat, okay? And the reason why I'm saying it's personal is because this happened to me last year, May. I lost my job. COVID game, I lost my job, bruv. Yeah? And I was looking at my girlfriend, she looked at me, and I looked at her, and I looked back at her, she looked back at me. Okay? All right? And honestly, as I looked at her, I was looking at her thinking to myself, what am I gonna do? I've got a girlfriend. And I don't know how I had savings and everything like that, but it's not about that. It's about the fact that, you know, you want a regular income that's coming in, right? So I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, okay, Lord, what we doing? And I decided to pursue the YouTube. You can ask anyone. I was putting out video after video after video. I did like 80, 90 videos in 1 month, bruv. I was just trying to figure it out, right? Because once I put my teeth into it, that was it. I'm gone, right? And at that point, I actually had to start ignoring her. She was calling me, and I was like, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I can't talk to you. Right? Because all my focus was, I'm trying to say to you. This is why I'm saying you can't be in a relationship. When you are starting this thing, you can't, because you need to put all your energy into this. There's very few people who are blessed, and I'm going to say this, there are exceptions to rules, because people like to say that my husband did it. Okay, cool, your husband did it. Thank you very much. He's an exception to a rule. Okay, your friend did it, they're an exception to a rule. The rest of us who are slinging and hustling out here haven't got time. Okay, we just started the business. We need to put the energy into the business. And now the partner becomes almost like a distraction. Not because they're bad, not because they're not a good partner, not because they're not understanding, but now I can't put that energy into that I was putting into before. Right? Because I'm hungry. And I can't, my mouth can't go unfed. I'm sorry. You understand? So when that hunger comes, you ignore everything else. You become solely focused. And so when you're in that beginning stage, it is very difficult then to invite a relationship into So if for me, the angle I'm seeing is, if Laronda doesn't get out the way, he's going to take longer to get to there. He may get there, it will just take longer. And how long are you willing to wait for him to get to that place? That's the kind of angle I'm coming from. Now, by grace, he might next year find a Netflix deal. He may do, okay? And someone's going to say, well, my friend, he found it next week. And listen, that's an exception to a rule. Please, people, I need you to understand, because I get this all the time in our comment section. My husband did it, or my last... Listen, there are exceptions to rules. People do stuff that are exceptional. Okay, right? But that's not oftentimes what the normal trend is. So what we're saying is here is that as a man and you want to provide, I think he's gonna need to exit the relationship, because if you're not gonna marry, get out of there then. Get out and go and focus on you. Okay, let her have space. Okay, let her have freedom. Okay, and you figure it out and you go and hit it hard. And if that's the woman for you, when you're hitting it and you're killing it, you go and collect her. But right now, sir, you're wearing an apron right now, okay, about to bake some cookies, okay, and that's not what you want to do. So I'm not trying to emasculate him. I'm trying to let him know that's not what you want to do. Okay, that's what you don't want to do. So for us men, I'm sure Sean can even talk about this. The focus, when you got that focus and you want to kill and you want to hit that thing, you want to make sure you get it. The distractions, they gotta go. They gotta go. You know what I mean? So we're not saying, and this might be maybe again, you might have to eat your cake that's your size. The cake is too big at the moment. You might need to trim it down. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who. Anyone else want to add to those points there? Go for it, Christopher. You put your hand up. Oh, was it Christopher or was it Sean who put the hand up? Sorry, who put the hand up?
Was it you, Chris, or me? Okay,
go for it, Sean.
So what I would just piggyback on that is, a lot of times in certain, like, Kojo, that story that you shared about yourself personally, that's because you have that internal drive, that instinct, that most of us do. I think on the other hand, for the men like Sean, and I hate that our names are somewhat similar, drives me a little bit crazy, but he needs that push, and it's unfortunate. But I think that Laronda needs to give him a consequence, right? If your goal is marriage, and, when you see how she praised him, which was some of on the other side of her personality, she was very praising of him. He's passionate, he has all the things that I see and want, all of that she was sharing, right? So she does see the value in him. So that part, I see that's why I have a little hope for their relationship. However, she can't continue having the situation set up the way that it is, right? So unless she gives him a consequence, like she's saying, I'm willing to marry you in this state and let's work on this together. If she's willing to tolerate that, fine. She'll deal with the consequences, whatever comes down the line. But he's still not stepping up to the plate and marrying her, then she needs to be like, bro, you need to go to your mother's basement. I know that's where folks think I am, but I'm not. Go to your mother's basement, right? Go get a studio apartment, do whatever you got to do to figure you out. If your goal is to get your bread up to be able to support our household, you need to level up to meet me where I am, then go do that. Because I'm willing to get married. You're not. You're saying you're putting this caveat out there. Well, go do that and then come back. And we'll see where things line up. But she's not. She's trying to play house, take care of him, take advantage of the catering, all of that stuff. And it's not going to end up because he has no consequence. There's really no need for him to launch. That's my thought.
Totally hear that. Christopher, did you want to add on to that?
I just wanted to add that when he was on his date, he said to his date that him and Laronda were, they were happy, but they were not on the same page due to some ideals that they didn't have in common. I really want to know what that is, because I'm sure he does not want her to be a creative as well, because you need the balance. Who's going to pay the bills, right? So I wonder what he means by the ideals that they don't see eye to eye on. Clearly she supports him. So it looks like she's in support of his career. It looks that way, being the fact that she's okay with him doing that and her working her corporate job. So I would like to know what those ideals are that they have that he says is an issue with their relationship. However, I believe, because I'm a creative too. However, I got to pay these bills. And so guess what? If I worked my 9 to 5, the minute I came home, quickly ate dinner, and I was up and working until whatever time, because I knew that I had to have a balance. I had to take care of my responsibilities, right? Because I'm an adult and that's just what adults do. I don't know all his financial issues and situation, but if you want a family, he wants that life that he's saying he has to have some level of security and stability. So I really hope that he figures out a way to either do his stuff on the weekend or something, but you got to make sure that home is okay. So that's all I wanted to add about him.
Appreciate. Anyone else want to add? Because this is the last 12 minutes of the show now. We're reaching our time limits. Malaysia, go for it. Malaysia. Oh, my dear, Malaysia.
Okay, so I just want to say one thing. We're all assuming that he doesn't have a job, but I feel like he does. But the amount of money he makes from that particular job may not be able to maintain him within a marriage scenario. So I do feel like he has a job. I don't feel like he's relying on her 100%, but she's a great bit of support for him, you know? And I kind of disagree with the fact that she's preventing him from, making it. I feel like we know of people who were born in wealthy families that was still got that drive to be able to also be millionaires themselves. I don't think she has anything to do with that. I feel like it has everything to do with him, and maybe he feels comfortable with the situation that they're in now. Maybe it's a mechanism for him to slow down the marriage process. Maybe he's just dragging his feet purposefully, because she's making it so comfortable for him, and I don't know. I just feel as if this couple is quite interesting, but I feel like he particularly is scared to cross her, or maybe he's scared to see what he feels, and I don't know. But she's definitely the man in the relationship at this point.
Totally hear you. Brittany, you want to go, and then Drew, do you want to go after? Go for it, Drew.
When he was on the date, did he say that she was too perfect for him?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay, because when I heard him say that, I instantly was like, ooh. Because that's never a good thing when anyone in a relationship feels that way. That is so scary. Because how are you going to survive being in a relationship with somebody you feel is better than you? Y'all should be, you should have a feeling of self-worth for yourself. And that's where another problem lies. Right? So as a man, if he's not being the provider that he feels he should be, then where's his self-worth at? I'm not saying that it all lies in him being a provider, but how is this going to work? It's not. At the end of the day. Like, yes, Laronda does add to the problem, but he has to recognize that and either remove himself, or you got to put yourself in a mindset of, how hungry am I? How bad do I want it? She shouldn't have to give him an ultimatum. It should already be in his mind to want to be that provider he says he wants to be, because he's professing it so much. But you're saying it, but you're not walking it either. And again, that level of comfort is there for him to rely on. So I feel like that's for any person. And like I said, with me. But even when I got an ultimatum from my mother, I mean, it really didn't do much. I had to go in my mind and make the decision for myself. And I'm doing things, but in a different way. It does not always have to be the way you see it. And that's where the problem lies sometimes, because people don't use perspective. Perspective can change your life. Literally. If you change your perspective of how you're going to get somewhere, then there's hope, right? That's the kind of hope you want to have. Change your perspective, figure out another way to get to your goal. And that's why I was mentioning people out here on social media getting it and making money. And I mean good money, because you can be an influencer and be a comedian at the same time. It's called product placement. These companies want to put their products in micro influencers projects. Like, there's plenty of ways to get money. But then again, there lies a question: how bad do you want it? I don't feel like he wants it that bad because he still has that line of security with Laronda, and I feel like Laronda's gonna wake up at some point. So yeah, but he has to find his self-worth too, and that's not gonna happen in that relationship. It's a recipe for disaster.
Different points. I hear that. Okay, different points. Drew, go for it.
I like this couple. I wanted to start out with the good. I do like their dynamic, and I feel like they do balance each other quite well, because she is, I don't want to say masculine, but she did mention she doesn't get jealous very easily. She's less emotional, and he brings more feminine energy to the table, because we saw how emotional he got once he started talking about his dad. That being said, I feel like Laronda is taking a lot of flack here today. And I am of the opinion that whether or not Sean was with Laronda, he would be in the same position, because I believe the financial part of things, or his constraints there, are a result, but they're not the source of the issue. I think he lacks focus. When he introduced himself, he said, I'm in entertainment, I'm an actor, I'm a director, I'm a comedian. All of that's a lot of things. Like, you ain't got no focus. He's all over the place. Of course, I do believe that she makes him a bit more comfortable, but I genuinely believe whether or not he was with her, he would still be very unfocused, and he would still be having financial problems. That being said, I do agree that he is not comfortable in his position, but what's important is he needs to start figuring out ways in which he can move towards being financially independent or being the financial breadwinner. Because right now he's just talking about dreams. Oh, I want to be this. I want, like, we're past that age. Aren't they in their 30s? He's still talking about I wanna. You're not. When I grow up, you are grown. So he needs to figure it out and do so quickly. She's comfortable, I think, because she's used to the dynamic. I think she has accepted that she is the breadwinner. And for her now, it's about moving forward. They've been dating for 3 years. And I do believe he was making excuses. I'm sorry. That's where we don't agree. Because not only did he say financial issues, when he was speaking to Rachel on their date, he mentioned, and I have it written here, I want to make sure I understand her struggles. I want to make sure that we have the same ideals as well as the financial constraints. And I'm thinking, is 3 years not enough time to have discussed our ideals? Is 3 years not enough time to have discussed our struggles? You are making excuses. So even though the financial issue is a real problem, I also do not think he is ready to be committed. I think Sean comes across to me like one of these nice guys, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's as nice as he's projecting. So, yeah.
Hey, I like it. Different perspective. Make us think about. Okay. We got the last few moments. We got the last 3 minutes. So I'm going to get everyone to give their roundup of this particular episode. It's been a really good conversation. You guys have really brought some really great points and some really good gems, I think, for anyone listening who's watching the show, to kind of go a little bit deeper in terms of what you're seeing on the screen, and just to even add to your points, Drew, as well. When I said Laronda is in the way, it's not that she's the problem. She's just in the way.
Right.
She's in the way. She needs to get out of the way. Okay, because these men, they need. Listen, us men, we don't need a safety net. For most of us, we don't. We need you to get out the way. A lot of women have done what Laronda's done and stayed in a relationship with the hope. It kills you. Listen, there's very few people, like when people use Obama as an example, it's a poor example. The brother is accomplishing mad things before do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same. Okay, your Harvard and your little university, it's not the same thing. Okay, yeah, it's not the same. All right, he's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't compare. You feel what I'm saying? So not that Laronda is bad. She's not bad. We're just saying that she potentially is going to waste her time, and she's also going to be a cause of him not trying to get someone. Not because she's doing anything per se, but her just being there means he's going to find a safety net. And these men do not need a safety net. They need to be on out there in them streets selling your CD like you did the rappers in the 90s, okay? Like, take my CD, bro. Take my CD, bro. You know the hustle? That's the hustle we need from you, bro. That's the energy. You know what I'm saying? We need that self-motivation. And sometimes you need the absolute sheets to be stripped from your bed. You need the walls to be cleaned. You need everything. You need to see that your house is about to be taken from you before you get the motivation to see, bruh, it's real in them streets right now. You know what I'm saying? So she's not bad herself. It's more the fact that my boy here, if he doesn't get out of that situation, he gonna coast, man. Yeah, he gonna coast. Just like a kid who always gets the top grades in the school and never studies, right? Eventually you get found out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you're right. Laronda's not necessarily the problem. My boy, he needs to kind of fix up. But that's our angle anyway. But let me get everybody's 1 minute summary, because it's been a really good conversation. I appreciate Drew as well. Let me get everybody's 1 minute summary. Essence, since you're at the top, I'm gonna let you get the 1 minute summary, your first one. So Essence, give us 1 minute summary. If you go past a minute, guys, I will cut you off. I'll just mute them. No, just, I'm nice. Go, Essence, go for it. You have to unmute yourself though.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it very short. I'm gonna make a prediction actually for Laronda and Sean. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna stand 10 toes down in this, that he is here, probably maybe to market himself. I'm gonna say he's not gonna go on a second date with any of his dates. I don't see him doing that at all. With Darian and Alexia, I'd like to see how they move throughout the show. My prediction is that at the end of this season, that there's not going to be a proposal there. With Eric and Jessica, my hope for this show is that they start to match Jessica with men who actually see her, not men who would be just attracted to her aesthetic, but actually see her, because something tells me that Jessica does have some depth to her. She has the ability to have a conversation, to love, to be empathetic, to feel, and I just hope that they don't just match her with, men that they saw on Instagram. I just really hope they don't match her with Eric 2.0. So I'd like to see that, and that's really all I have.
Good points. Appreciate Essence. Brittany, talk to me. 1 minute summary. You have to unmute yourself, Brittany.
Okay. So at the end of the day, I feel like everyone on the show needs individual therapy, because everybody has their individual issues they need to work on, because it's really making their relationships imbalanced. Like it's not working. There's a disconnect somewhere in there, and the disconnect starts with the individual, right? So when it comes to Alexia and Darian, Alexia needs to understand who she is as a woman, because I feel like a lot of her, a lot of the ways that she makes her decisions are based on her athlete mindset, and it's a competition for her. I'm not saying all the time, but it's a component. Darian, he needs to come to the present and understand that he's in a kind of like a marriage. He needs to understand that this is not, it is what it is. But then with Laronda and Jay, I think they're perfect for each other. They just got to find that balance of, Sean figuring out how he's going to become a provider. Like once that happens, I feel like things will be fine, and then he has to work out some of his childhood issues as well. Because I feel like a lot of his problems come from his younger self, because he mentioned his father too. And I know a lot of those tie into that, possibly with him becoming a provider. And then Jessica and Eric, they both need to just find security within themselves first, because Jessica needs to know how to set boundaries and keep them, but she wants to be seen. And then Eric, he needs a sense of direction, because once a lot of athletes come out of the NFL, well, not just football players, but just athletes.
Brittany, you got like 10 seconds.
Okay. When athletes come out of their profession, a lot of them don't have direction, because all they were taught was to just stick to football, stick to basketball. Like now they need to know what's next. That's the question for Darian and Eric. That's it.
Thank you very much, Brittany. Rachel.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you, because I know it's 4 a.m. where you are, man. So I appreciate it.
It's 4 in Paris. It's nuts. This is what I'll say. the Bible talks about being unequally yoked. Brittany, you got me started with the Bible, so I got you know that. The Bible talks about being unequally yoked, and to me, to be unequally yoked, to be equally yoked, for me to be an ideal relationship is to be of service, to be in a relationship of servitude, right? So these couples have to learn what it means to be of service to one another. But before you can learn how to be of service to another person, you have to learn how to be of service to yourself. How do you mend yourself? How do you heal yourself? How do you serve yourself? Not in a negative way, but how do you properly take care of yourself? And until you know how to do that, being in a relationship, how are you going to serve others? So that's all I have to say. And thanks for having me.
No worries, Rachel. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Doc, give us your 1 minute summary.
I'm going to make it real short before it cuts out. So the only thing I really want to be able to say is that I truly believe in therapy, counseling, healing, deliverance, the whole nine. And I just believe that everybody on the show really needs to invest in themselves, and maybe even separately as couples before they all come together in the same room, that they do it with just each other. So themselves and with each other, because they have a lot of deeply rooted issues, a lot of insecurities. And just to talk about Sean real quick, because I didn't have the time to do it, but Sean has some deeply rooted issues, and the trauma, the pain, the heartbreak, and whatever he's going through as a man, he needs to be able to go through that process of healing as well. So I want men to know out there that you are not exempt from not going through healing and counseling and deliverance. It's necessary for men the same way it's necessary for women. And all of us should be able to have that journey and that process with that.
Good point. Appreciate it. Sean, give us your 1 minute summary.
Sure. So what I would say, and I touched on this a little earlier around the attachment styles. And, for any couple, that ideal attachment style is secure. So as I continue to look at these couples, I'm looking for couples that are secure in their relationship, to be ready to marry, right? Because that's their goal, right? So where's the security? Where's the confidence? Are they both on the same page? Rachel said it, that equally yoked piece is important. And that plays out in believers and non-believers. Real world terms, we need to be on the same page. We need to have the same plan for what the next steps are. And I don't know if we've seen enough to really call it out 100%, but what I'm seeing, I don't know. Thank God for Dr. Nicole, because she can help flesh things out, help give them some direction, help heal some of those wounds that are there. We all have them, and I think that healing is going to be necessary if those couples are going to be able to stay together. And that's my statement.
Appreciate it, Sean. Drew, give us your 1 minute statement.
As far as it relates to Eric and Jessica, I wish for Jessica to build her confidence, do whatever it is she needs to do to build her confidence so she can move on, because Eric is for the streets, okay? For the streets, he's a hoe. And then for Darian and Alexia needs to also just recognize that her and him are not on the same page. He said clearly that he does not want to be married over and over again. He even went as far as to say he would have the kids and do the whole get the dog, but he does not want to be married. Therefore, she needs to decide, do I want to stay and not be married and have the kids and whatever? Because it's not happening there after 14 years. Come on now. He knows what he wants. It's been 14 years. I agree with Brittany in relation to Sean and Laronda. They make a great couple. They just need to figure out the financial aspect of things and figure out the balance of masculine and feminine energy. And they should be good. I think they will last.
Points. Appreciate it. Chris Natha?
I think that this is going to be a great season. I love that Dr. Nicole is there. I wish all the dating shows had a therapist or somebody there to help. And I feel like all the couples, I think, are coming in to figure out what's wrong with their partner, and they're going to learn what's wrong with them. So I like that they're going to be unpacking some things. So I look forward to more episodes so we can really start to peel off the layers and really see what's going on. Either why I don't want to get married or what made me accept this for this long. So I look forward to learning more about the couples and really seeing what's beneath those layers. But if someone doesn't want to marry you, you cannot force them. And even if they end up marrying you, they'll resent you. So guys, if someone doesn't want to do it, listen to what people are telling you. They don't want to marry you, go where you're celebrated. So that's my piece.
I appreciate you. Hey, listen, it's been crazy, baby. It's been good. It's been good. You guys have brought some great perspectives to the show. Thank you for staying up so late. I know, especially Rach. I know it's 4 a.m. where you are in Paris. But yeah, honestly, you guys, I said that you're gonna come with some bars today, and you did exceptionally abundantly above what I could have even imagined. There's scripture for you. And so I appreciate you guys, man. And I can't wait to drop episode 2 and see what you guys think. You know, we're gonna come with that same fire. Audience members, we see you've enjoyed, isn't it? Yeah, you've enjoyed, isn't it? You tapped in and you got some knowledge from my panelists today, didn't you? Yeah. Before we go, who's got a channel on here? Someone's got a channel. Someone's got a YouTube channel. Oh, 2 people got YouTube channels. Promote yourselves. Okay, Rach, you go first, and then Drew. So let them know where they can find you.
Okay, so you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Raeagwe, Raeagwe. And basically, I'm a singer, dancer, actress, TV, film, and Broadway, working on my album here in Paris, from Brooklyn, New York. And I am, praise God, pray for me. It's not easy. And the goal is to have a YouTube show where I go around the world meeting artists and seeing how they pursue happiness and freedom through their artistry. So pray for me, y'all. If you want to follow me, go to Raeagwe and follow me!
I love that energy. It's contagious, man. I appreciate it. Drew, you know what? I found that you had a YouTube channel through the audience. They told me you had a YouTube channel. Oh, they be watching, baby. They be watching.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. So I'm at Drew Moyton on all platforms, and on my YouTube, I do videos where I speak about my experience as an international student in Germany, but I also do reviews as of recently. And yeah, I keep it really simple. I'm not as impressive as Rach over here.
No. I'm not impressed about that.
Girl, you are impressive, girl. Don't you worry. Don't put yourself down. You're impressive. Okay.
Thank you.
I love it. Listen, anybody else who, we like to celebrate everybody on this channel. Do you know what I'm saying? So whoever's even if you've got a business, you know what I'm saying, we want to be able to shout you out. If you're self-employed and you're doing something, listen, this is the place. You're on this channel, you're on this platform, they see you, okay? This is the time to promote yourself. So I'll be asking my panelists as we, Chris, if you got a business you want to promote, go for it, girl. Say your
Yes, I do. Well, I am Chris Natha everywhere. I'm the only one. I do have a YouTube page. I am Chris Natha. Chris Natha TV on YouTube. I am a certified life coach. And so I work specifically with women, helping you get clear, discover the masterpiece within yourself. And yeah, check out my YouTube page. It's kind of new, so I'm still working on some things, but I share some tips for entrepreneurs, small business owners, and also I'll start doing some reviews as well. So thank you, Kojo.
No. Thank you guys. This is what we're here for. Do you know what I'm saying? We're here to support one another, grow. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm sure in the coming weeks, people will have their things that they're doing and we'll be able to support them as well going forward. But audience members, thank you so much for turning up today. Listen, next week, grab somebody, tell them about, put a ring on it, review. Do you know what I'm saying? I typed it into Google and I was like, I couldn't even find a Reddit on this. I said, no. We're doing some premium service for you guys here. So listen, we're bringing a panelist of people who are deep and bring you their viewpoints. You know what I'm saying? So listen, make sure you check somebody, grab someone next week, tag them, whatever, and bring them into this conversation as well to enjoy some of this great work that we're putting on today for you guys. So, guys, it's been beautiful. It's been amazing. It's been lovely. Okay, stay hydrated in them streets. My panelists, thank you so much. And we are gonna be out. Okay, so appreciate you guys. Stay locked.